Hello, everybody. We are back with another horror marathon podcast thing. We've been out for a little while, been busy, we've been sick.
Who is we?
We got dosed with, well, I got sick too.
No. I mean, what?
Oh, my name is Ryan, and
I didn't even
the
mean,
other voice.
I didn't even mean that.
Is that what did you mean?
Well, I'm Kyle too.
Okay.
Alpha
You're Kyle
Rookie.
too? You're
Alpha
also
Rookie's
Kyle?
back.
Alpha Rookie's back.
Yeah, we're here. It's been a couple weeks since we've done anything. By the time you listen to this, it doesn't matter, but we were supposed to do this before Halloween in October, and because of getting sick and busy, we did not get that done, so it is November. So we said we were going to do the Saw movies, and then we changed our mind.
That's true.
I don't remember why I changed our mind.
Well, you gave me the option, and I said I would rather do Return of the Living Dead than Saw.
Yes.
We'll still do Saw.
Eventually.
Eventually.
So we watched all the Return of the Living Dead series. Now, when I say all, you probably have no idea what that even means because you're like, what? Wait, how? What?
Some people also might not.
I got to differentiate from the
Return
other.
of the Living Dead is.
That's what I'm saying.
So, which we'll do.
So, do you want to clarify? Or do you want me to do?
Sure. So, if you're confused, okay. So there's a movie called Night of the Living Dead. It came out in the '60s, made by George Romero. You should go watch our history of the horror siege genre video for a complete breakdown of that history and stuff. Okay, it's a classic zombie movie. Follows it up with Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead.
Yes.
And
the one that takes place on an island.
Why am I having a hard time remembering that one?
Dumb of the Dead? No.
No, Dumb of the Dead. Anyway, that's a franchise way over there, okay? On this side of the room, all right? The movies that we're talking about, the first movie is called Return of the Living Dead.
It's not actually part of George Romero's Dead movies.
No, but...
And the last one of his movies was Survival of the Dead. I just remembered.
Survival of the Dead. Okay, so Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Living Dead are indeed separate universes.
Yes.
Okay. However, within the universe of Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead was a movie that came out that people saw.
Right.
Okay.
So the idea that if it's not a sequel, but if it was a sequel or if it was related anyway, it's related to Night of the Living Dead, not Dawn of the Dead, because Dawn of the Dead actually was the sequel to Night of the Living Dead and came out before Return, but Return doesn't reference Dawn or Day for that matter.
Right.
So it really only goes to the original, and it's more of a, like what he said, he's like, I wanted to make my own version of it. Dan O'Bannon, he worked on Alien, worked on lots of stuff. He's really popular, obviously. He wanted to make a spiritual successor, let's say. So it's not actually related to Night of the Living Dead, but the producer on the movie is the producer from Night of the Living Dead as well.
I was going to bring that up if you didn't. So John Russo.
Yeah,
right?
Because John Russo, they retained the rights to the Living Dead name.
Correct.
Whereas Romero got Of the Dead. So you got Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Diary of the Dead. And these guys got Of the Living Dead.
Right.
So again, you actually have some overlap between not only what's in the movies, what maybe the canon of like how the virus or whatever you want to call it happens, and then the copyrights involved and the people that are involved building it. So, but yes, completely fucking separate.
Right. And
confusing.
Confusing, yeah. And funny to think about how powerful it is to have like
the name.
Yeah, because you do slap that on something and somebody's going to at least go, isn't that zombie thing?
When I was growing up, I watched that one before I ever saw Dawn or Day.
Right.
Didn't know those existed. To me, there was Night of the Living Dead and then there was Return of the Living Dead. I didn't know.
Right. Return of the Living Dead is, okay, so just to put the coffin in, nail in this coffin. Return of the Living Dead sounds like a sequel. The title of it sounds like a sequel.
Yes.
It is not. It is, in fact, a original film, its own thing, that you just pick up and watch and don't need to know anything about.
And it takes stuff from Night of the Living Dead to make itself.
Right.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, there's an entire series of movies called, and they don't, so in Romero's we go Night, Dawn, Day, Diary, Land, Survival. In this one, they're all called Return of the Living Dead. Then you get Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, and 5.
Except Part 4 and 5, I don't think actually have numbered entries. They just have subtitles.
I don't know, but they definitely are numbered that way.
Okay.
They come out in order, right? So, actually, like, is it Part 2 or is it just 2?
I think it's just Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
Yeah, it's like actually says part, right?
Right.
Yeah, so Return of the Living Dead 2 is also Return of the Living Dead Part 2, because the poster says Part 2, the name just says 2. So now we're getting even to more, shit territory. Then you have, oh God, then you have Return of the Living Dead 3, which doesn't have the word part on it. It's just 3.
It's just Return of the Living Dead 3.
Yes.
Right.
With 3 claw marks, like a scratch,
right,
which you see on the title screen. And then what you were saying about the 4th one, it's just called Return of the Living Dead Necropolis.
Right.
But that's technically 4, which you need to know that that's 4 because Return of the Living Dead Rave to the Grave is the 5th one. They both came out in the same year, but if you watch them out of order, it wouldn't make any sense. You need to know that
same year, 4 and 5?
Yes, they were shot back to back. They were shot at the same time.
Okay.
Because they have some actors that are in both movies. So again, if you didn't know which one was 4 and 5 because they don't say 4 and 5 on them.
Right.
But
it's expensive to keep traveling back to Romania to shoot movies.
Yeah, you just go one time and shoot multiple. All right, so that's that. That is that.
That is that.
That is that.
Okay. Return of the Living Dead came out in
1985.
Okay. So big difference there too. Again, Night of the Living Dead came out in 1967.
I think 67.
And Return of the Living Dead.
Someone's gonna get mad at us because we're wrong.
I don't care.
Yeah. Dawn of the Dead was 74.
Right.
Day was 85 also, right? 84. 85. 84, 85.
I can't remember.
We should look it up, but we're not going to. We're going to keep moving on. Keep on trucking.
Okay.
So we watched the Return of the Living Dead series, 5 movies.
All right. So
and we're going to talk about them and tell you what happens in them and who's in them and what's good, what's bad, and all kinds of fun stuff. So here we go.
Return of the Living Dead is a classic.
Yes,
it's a great movie.
In the horror genre,
it's generally considered
like if you had a list of like the top 20 horror movies, this would be a classic one of those.
This is not in my estimation, like going back to like Leprechaun or something like that, where you kind of everything is sort of questionable or you got to take it with a grain of salt or whatever. This is one of those more along the lines of, I don't even know. I don't know. Like of any of the franchises that we've dealt with so far, this is probably the one that has a first entry that there's not really any dispute that it's
amazing.
That it's amazing. Yeah, that it's like a horror classic. Because I feel like even the first Hellraiser movie, I think it's a really good movie, but there might be some people
and a lot of people like it, but it's not well respected in terms of like
like Return of the Living Dead. Ditto for Leprechaun. Ditto for I'm trying to remember what else we covered. What else? Oh, Child's Play. Even Child's Play. Like I think that
and that one the characters become iconic, but not the movie.
Right,
itself.
But you might have to defend Child's Play still to like cinephiles, or like movie fans. I don't really think anybody has anything bad to say about Return of the Living Dead.
Okay, so and one of the really, really, really big things about Return of the Living Dead that even, regardless, like I said, maybe people don't know about it because they know about Romero or whatever or this long series. Any time anyone in the history of the world has gone brains, zombies, it comes from Return of the Living Dead.
Right.
That was the first time that the idea of zombies eating brains came from that movie.
And it'll be a really interesting thing to talk about as we talk about the series in terms of the cultural currency that both the Night of the Living Dead franchise has and the Return of the Living Dead franchise has. What I mean by that is Return of the Living Dead has its own mythology.
Yes.
As we will talk about when we start talking about the first film. And as you just said, probably the most prominent thing out of that mythology that it added to what people think about zombies
is popular culture.
And popular culture is brains, right? Like, oh, they're going to eat your brains. Because again, in the regular Living Dead films, the George Romero films, that's not a thing. I mean, they eat your flesh, they want to eat you, but then the brains or whatever, they'll take whatever they can get. But as the Return of the Living Dead films progress, the mythology from the modern George Romero Living Dead and the kind of Walking Dead style zombie, that stuff ends up impacting the Living Dead. I don't know if you noticed that, but the Return of the Living Dead films as they go, which I guess we'll talk about it when we get.
Yeah,
as we get to
we'll
them.
see. Well, okay, so again, like you
I just want to put a pin in this now because when we talk about it, I'll be like, just remember I brought this up because it's a thing.
Again, it's one of those things where brains. I guarantee you, a lot of people have never seen Return of the Living Dead, but they know zombies eat brains.
Zombies eat brains, which they don't, right?
Right. Well,
if you go by George Romero rules, you say they.
And so one of the other things is the difference between another stark, drastic difference or contrast to these two things. Besides just that, is that one, they talk somewhat. George Romero likes the idea of not filling in the blanks, leaving it up to the viewer to figure out, like, we don't know what causes the zombies to come back. Or zombies. He doesn't even call them zombies at first,
Right.
Why the dead come back to life, any of that stuff. It's always just like, it's not important. That's not the point of the story. Return likes to try to take the hard science route of here's how and why.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if I call it hard science, but it certainly does give you an explanation.
Not just an explanation, but there is hard science to it. Not just watching the movies, but hearing the creators talk about the movies.
Okay.
Like, we watched a very long documentary on Return of the Living Dead, an hour and a half long, and it goes into a lot of detail. So, I'll just do it now then. The idea of brains, like, why brains? Well, they hurt when they're dead. And so they like to get the endorphins out of eating an alive person. It helps with the pain. And the place in your body that has the most amount of hormones and endorphins is your brain.
Right.
So that's kind of like the reasoning. It's not something that someone made up. This is coming from the people who wrote the movie and have made the movies. They've said the same thing. So
yeah, I just think it's funny when you say hard science. I'm like, okay.
But that's science. I mean,
some thought
they like brains because they taste better than skin.
Thought goes into it. Yeah, of course.
In the third movie, he's saying it's like the.
But I mean, I think you could say the same thing about not necessarily the origin of what a zombie is in the George Romero films, but the effect though. Like the one of the things that is people are so fascinated by George Romero style zombies with what we see like in Walking Dead is that he's the one that drew the line between monster and a scientific hard science disease.
Yes.
And how it would spread and how, like a virus.
Regardless, we're just
I know.
We
are zombie geeks. I don't know if anybody out there has seen that from us before. Like we've talked about it before, but
we're also going to play Resident Evil 2 at some point because that's
Kyle and I are like pretty. Or at least for a while, anyway. I mean, we were pretty massive.
And you're wearing a Bub shirt.
I am wearing a Bub T-shirt. I didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah, even when we were hanging out with Chad and he did a little thing for us, he picked me as like a zombie thing. Like, yeah, he even knew. Yeah, zombies are a thing because I grew up watching this movie. This movie is probably the movie that scared me the most when I was a child. Right. Which my dad said, you're not supposed to watch this, so you shouldn't watch this, and I did. And then I had nightmares for a long fucking time.
Which brings up one other contrast.
Even though it's actually not that scary.
Right. Well,
but it kind of is.
But it is. But I get what you're saying. Night of the Living Dead, not really Dawn of the Dead, actually, because people throw pies and zombie faces and stuff. But in Night of the Living Dead is a true blue scary horror film. It is shot with mood. It's scary. It's claustrophobic. All that kind of stuff. Return of the Living Dead is the first. Well, it's the first movie that comes out of the gate, wall to wall, envisioned from the ground up as a comedy.
A dark comedy.
But a comedy nonetheless.
Yes. The darkest of comedies.
The darkest of comedies, but a comedy.
Yes, absolutely.
It's more of a comic book than the characters are more over the top. The performances are more. They're not like meant to be taken too seriously. It's not like.
Yeah.
Again.
And that's one of the stories about the making of the movie and some of the actors getting upset with the director. Right. And then when they saw the movie, they said, I didn't know what you were going for.
Contrast that with the end of Night of the Living Dead where the main black character gets shot by the people that would save him at the end of the movie, and the way Dawn of the Dead almost ended, the original ending, where the last two survivors kill themselves.
Yes.
Just out of so. Okay, like those are more serious, like kind of fucked up, like depressed movies. Return of the Living Dead is obviously having more of a good time.
So with all that said, as we're almost 15 minutes
let's
in,
actually talk about
the movies. But, I mean, there is a lot of like upfront disclaimer about what this series even is before you
because
start.
You might hear this and say, pause, you've never seen any of these before and you want to go check it out.
Yeah.
So without further ado.
Well, at least our recommendation would be if you want to listen along because maybe you watch them first and hear what we have to say to see how it gels, but you have to think about it, just watch the first two.
That's I'll say that right up front. Yeah.
You don't have to go out and watch all five to listen to this. Just watch the first two.
If you listen to these and you say we watch them so you don't have to kind of thing,
right?
I'll go ahead and cast my vote or whatever, like right up front and say 3, 4, and 5.
That is a really good joke, by the way. It's a very, very like no one's gonna get that joke but me.
Number 1, first movie, absolutely must watch. Everybody should see it. I also very, very, very much like the second one. So
right.
So I agree with you on that.
All right. So into the first movie, Return of the Living Dead.
Okay. Return of the Living Dead, just quickly summarize, it's not like a complicated plot,
Sure, go for it.
Because we talked about the mythology and stuff like that. So real quick. So Return of the Living Dead, we have something called trioxin.
Trioxin 245?
Yes, I think.
What
Something.
is it?
Trioxin number.
Yeah.
Trioxin with a number. The whole movie takes place in essentially three locations. A medical warehouse.
Yes.
Is that what you would call it? A medical warehouse?
Medical supply warehouse.
A medical supply warehouse.
It's called Unita. It's like Unita Medical or something.
Right. I think there's a Night of the Living Dead joke on the building that I can't remember. Okay, so you have the medical supply warehouse, you have a graveyard, and you have a mortuary.
Absolutely.
Do I have it right?
You got it.
That's pretty much it. The whole movie takes place in those three places.
Yes.
So, and that's also how we meet our different groups of characters. Okay. So at the medical supply warehouse, you have the boss, the guy who owns the place, and the guy who works for him, and the new recruit who is being trained on his first day.
The young punk kid who had to get a job.
He's the young punk kid that had to get a job. All of his friends are punkers. Like, this is 1985. So this is an important movie to horror fans. This is also an important movie for, I don't know anything about this stuff really, but
so you don't know if what you're saying is actually accurate.
But it is true. Well, you can know it from just watching the documentary that this was an important thing to punk culture as well.
Yes.
This was a big send up to punk culture.
Or the idea that what they did, they try to be as authentic as possible.
Right.
They actually got people that came in that were into fashion.
The soundtrack is filled with, I don't know a lot about it, but I do understand and respect that the soundtrack is filled with legitimate punk rock bands at the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the actors that are, so this young kid, he's a punk and all his friends are punks. Okay. So the graveyard essentially is a set piece there to exist for this group of punk friends who are bored and they don't know what to do, and the only reason they end up there is they go because one of the girls in that group, she's dating
Freddie.
She's dating Freddie, who's the guy that's being trained in the medical supply warehouse. So they go, well, he gets off at like in an hour. Let's go fuck around in this graveyard that's right nearby.
Well, no, they just want to hang out there and there's nothing to do. And then so the trashy one's like, ooh, a graveyard. Like,
right, but
everyone wanted to be.
But
around
initially,
the dead.
they don't know what they're doing, and then they go like, "Well, what time does he get off?" It's like, "Oh, well, not until this time." Like, well, what about that graveyard? And so they just go fuck around in the graveyard.
Yeah. So let's be straight. Frank and Freddie are our two main characters.
Right.
Freddie being the young guy, Frank being the older guy.
Frank played by Kevin.
Or no, sorry, fucking James. James Karen.
James Karen.
Yes.
Who's my favorite character in the franchise, and that's why I couldn't remember his name.
Right. That's why that's the only reason we're bringing it up, because he's the greatest.
He's
thing
the best
about the
thing
movie.
ever.
So
okay.
let's roll along. So and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll summarize and then we'll discuss.
But that looks like when I talk about it in the future, I could be like, "This is the graveyard. This is the thing." Okay.
They work in a medical supply warehouse. He's a new guy. Basically, they just receive stuff and ship it to other places. Yeah. They don't have, they're a warehouse. They're out in the middle of an industrial park area by a graveyard. No one goes out there.
They have half dogs, which are like cross sections of dogs that like
butterflies pinned to a display
skeletons.
thing. Skeletons from India.
Yeah.
Only India.
I don't know why. Don't ask me why.
They even have a cadaver in a freezer.
That's right. They have one cadaver.
Yeah. And then in the basement, he wants to go. So this is where the Night of the Living Dead comes up. They're talking, and he's showing Freddie around all the stuff they have, and he says,
"You ever seen Night of the Living Dead?"
Yeah. So it comes up as if in their universe,
know is that that's based on a true story.
Right. So in their universe, Night of the Living Dead is not a documentary.
No, it's a movie.
It's a movie that was based on something that actually happened that was covered up by the government.
Right.
And this filmmaker, which would be George Romero, knew about it, but was allowed to make a movie that changed it so that people would not think it was a real thing.
Right.
And this is all. You know what? Here's the thing.
Like Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing, and then he made The Shining.
Yeah. I don't know if this is actually in the universe, because the way that. Why do I keep forgetting his damn name? It's Frank.
Frank.
The way he talks to Freddie, you think he's bullshitting him. Like, of course it wasn't.
Like he's fucking with him.
He's fucking with him, right?
Yeah.
But and he goes, "How do you know all this?" Whatever. Well, in the basement, we have some of the stuff that the army lost.
Well, I said so what happened? His story that he tells is like, they take the bodies, like the zombies, and then they covered it all up and they put them in containers.
Yeah, and it was a chemical spill that did it. So they
chemical spill, right?
They tried to, and it was from the Darrow Chemical Company.
And so he goes,
some of the containers where
Ended up
they were shipped
here.
around, they ended up here. And you
Well,
go,
how did they end up
happen?
here? And it's, of course, it's a very important line.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it's a thorough line for the rest of the series. Go ahead.
It's a typical Army fuck up.
Typical Army fuck up. That's right.
Which is one of the themes of the movie is very
Yes.
much that, like, yeah, that's, yeah.
So, hey, do you want to go and look at it?
By the way, this is a great, because the way that it's an older guy talking to a younger guy, the younger guy's dumb as shit.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know, he's totally intrigued, like, what? Really? And this whole time, he's kind of just, he's busting his chops, right? But he doesn't really know. But then again, I don't know if we really know if that's a real thing or not. Turns out I think maybe it is. You know?
Some of my favorite stuff in the movie is just actually these opening scenes with these guys. Mostly because Frank, he's fucking with them, but the vibe that I get that immediately endears me to these characters is that Frank is so excited to have like a buddy. Like,
Yeah.
I bet you he's bored to tears, like being in that place by himself.
But it makes him feel like he knows stuff and you don't.
Right.
Like I'm not just in charge here. I'm not the boss, but I'm in charge of you.
Right.
But it's like I have all this cool information that you don't know, but I get to share with
But
somebody.
he got to have like a fun boy to like, you know, imagine if it was somebody that was like not interested.
Right.
He'd be so fucking bummed out, you know, but it's somebody that's like, like, yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so you want to go see it?
Yeah.
Let's go down to the basement and find behind the curtain.
This is the new best friend you made, okay?
Yeah.
This is the new best friend you made that says, my dad keeps his gun and you want to, well, that's a little dark. But, you know, you get the idea. Like, let's go.
You know what? It's not far from it.
It's not kind of far from it, but like, you want to go look at my dad's Playboy collection? I've never looked at a Playboy before. Like, do you want to go check it out?
I'll be honest. I mean, that's how I was introduced to porn.
There you go. Yeah, I had that friend too.
Buddy knocked on my door and said, "You have to come over to my house right now."
Yeah.
I said, "No, you're lying. That doesn't. They do this." I'm like, "No, they don't." I watched the show on TV.
I remember saw pubic hair and I went, what the fuck is that? I didn't say that, of course. But what? You know, because I was too young to. I'd never even fucking seen that shit before.
Yeah, this was before the Hell Talk. Like, this was early.
Yeah.
I was ruined at an early age.
Yeah.
Really early age.
So, okay, I'm not far off with it.
But that's exactly what it is. It's like
Kinda.
you want to go see it, and then you find it, and it turns into a disaster or something.
Right.
It ruined me, yeah. So
he's not making it up. They are these canisters downstairs in the basement, and they look like. Actually, I'm gonna give the fifth movie, I guess, some credit for calling it a atomic keg.
I don't even remember hearing that.
He calls it something like that.
Just burping on the microphone, huh?
No, I turned.
Yeah, but you're just burping away over there drinking your beer. Okay, so yes,
and that's what they look like.
They have a couple canisters in there, and they're old.
There's a little porthole on the top, little like glass viewing.
Of course, 'cause
window.
that's what you would put on something that's
Right,
dangerous.
just to check something, just to make sure it's in there. And you look inside, and indeed,
And they've been there for like 16 years, he said, something like that. And they just didn't know what to do with them.
Right.
And at this point, they're afraid that if anyone ever found it, they get in trouble, and they don't want to call the number on there to get rid of them because they're afraid, like, well, we should have said something earlier. So he doesn't want the bad publicity because the army would come in.
Right.
And it would be on the news and all kinds of shit. So they just kind of hide them away. So since they're old, they're decrepit, they're sitting there. He bangs on it, and what happens?
Well, just because he said, I don't remember what he says.
Oh, yeah. Well, are you sure they're not going to leak?
He's like,
oh, they're made by the army.
These are made by the U.S. Army.
The Corps engineers.
Corps of Engineers, right?
Like the smartest minds we got, and then he fucking bangs on it to show them how tough it is. And of course,
immediately starts
springs
leaking
a leak
gas,
and all the gas
over
comes out.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is an amazing opening. This is when the credit sequence begins. This is when the music pops in with that awesome dun 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 score. It's really great. You see the gas get everywhere. It gets in. The camera follows it into the air shafts and stuff like that, and it ends up in the.
It's like Fast and the Furious when you watch like they hit the nitro boost and it goes to the car engine.
That's what Rob Cohen watched Return of the Living Dead when he made Fast and the Furious. And the cadaver that they have in the it's my favorite shot in the whole movie where the cadaver
because he's hanging from he has like calipers on his head.
Yeah, just like a giant pinchers that are just pinching your head and you're hanging from the ceiling, and he's just got a piece of plastic draped over him. And it looks really creepy. He's down at the end of this long
line of calipers hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, but there's no other.
hooks.
It's just him. There's no other bodies, and the camera just kind of like slowly dollies in as you can kind of see it shaking and coming to life and stuff.
It like pans up from the feet to the shoulders.
Eventually, yeah. So it's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so trioxin. So this is the mythology of this movie is that trioxin, this gas
that was made by the Darrow Chemical Company.
If you breathe it, it if it gets on you, whatever. That's what turns you into
It reanimates
a zombie.
dead flesh.
But doesn't just reanimate dead flesh.
What do you mean?
It also kills you and brings you
Well,
back.
yes. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a chemical. The idea it was supposed to be developed,
But it also right. The more important thing is it reanimates dead flesh. Yes.
It was supposed to be made for the army, and I don't know. It was supposed to be used on their enemies, not like a universal soldier type thing where soldiers could die and we could bring them back to life. I think this was meant to you would bomb the enemy with gas and then it would kill everybody, and then those people would come back and then kill the other guys behind enemy lines. You would turn the enemy into an enemy of the enemy in a way.
Right.
So not only would you kill people, then you would use them to then kill the rest of the people.
Right.
So yeah, this is not a universal soldier idea.
Okay. So, this being a medical supply warehouse, all of the dead shit in the warehouse starts coming back to life. The half dogs start barking and moving around.
It starts whimpering.
Yeah.
It starts whining. They're like, what
They
is
try
that
to
noise?
beat it with a broom. It doesn't really work.
A crutch.
Crutch. I mean, yeah. The little pinned butterflies start flapping their wings again.
And this is after they have woken up from their long nap on the floor.
Right, because they're coughing and wheezing and stuff.
And then at this point, they're going, what's going on? Why is this? Are we high? Are we freaking out?
Right, yeah. So they're freaking out. They call the boss to come because they don't know what else to do. And he comes and they end up. I mean, I don't want to narrate the whole movie.
I don't want to go into So at this point, we just want to introduce the characters.
I'm just trying to get to the next thing. He's called, and his idea is, I know what we'll do. We got to chop up this zombie cadaver. I have a friend who's a mortician. He usually works late.
Well, okay, we skipped really a big thing though. So Bert shows up. Bert's the boss. Now, as we go along the movie, we'll also behind the scenes stuff. He was brought on really late in the process. And he's actually, I was already kind of a not a big time actor. He played Billy the Kid and the Tall Man. He was on Nightmare on Elm Street. He's been around. He was not a nobody. He was an actor. He's an actor's actor. And he was brought on late. So he didn't gel with the cast. He didn't really know what the movie was going to be. He didn't get along with Dan O'Bannon at all. So he comes in and he's not sure how to play it. And so he just comes in as the boss and whatever. And it turns out he did a really good job. But there was a lot of animosity on set with that actor. That was the one where, when he saw the final film, he was like, well, if I had fucking known that's what you were going for, I could have, whatever.
Because you look at Frank, and he knows exactly Frank and Freddie know exactly what movie they're in.
Right. They've had time
Even
to
though
rehearse.
you can see from the documentary that nobody really kind of had a good handle on what the movie was until it was done.
Yeah.
Because it's such a bizarre mix of tones.
But, the actors had a chance to, gel with each other, do their lines.
They're hamming it up, and they're having a good time.
And he comes in full serious.
Right.
So he's actually, it's a really good dichotomy because that character comes in as he is the boss. He needs to be that stern guy who doesn't quite ham it up like everybody else. So it really works in the movie's favor.
Is he the one that buries the ice pick into the pickaxe?
Right, and that's why this scene's really important. It's pivotal because it changes the entire series.
Yeah.
So now we've introduced trioxin 245, and that's how zombies are made, is the gas. Well, he goes, in the movie, referring to Night of the Living Dead again, they had to destroy the brain to get rid of creatures. So I said, okay, we'll let the cadaver out. He's banging on a door, which is great. That scream is just hilarious.
And that's my favorite laugh, and one of my favorite laughs in the whole thing is when they're getting ready to hit this guy with the pickaxe.
Yes,
the pickaxe goes in. And it's just just a beat of silence where you think, oh, maybe that's it, and he goes, starts screaming even louder.
Yeah, but it's just they're sitting there you're all freaked out. There's a dead guy come back to life. He's banging on this door, and they're I don't know what to do. And yes, they take him out. They're like, we'll tackle him. We'll get this pickaxe and we'll smash the brain. And it doesn't fucking work.
No, he just screams louder.
Yeah. So at this point, the rules of the universe has been written. You can't kill them.
No.
They come back and you can't kill them.
Yeah, the finger you cut off is still alive.
Yeah.
It's which is your first clue when a half dog with only half a brain, comes back to life as well.
But again, another key difference because in the before you could shoot him in the head.
Right.
As Tom Savini would say, you just shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
Can't
do that anymore.
Dawn of the Dead remake. So now the rules are set. Long story short for this, they cut it into pieces. They take it over to the mortuary. The mortuary has a crematorium in it. He's been friends with the guy who runs the morgue. He says, hey, we got these rabid squirrels in bags. We need to burn them. And then they have to show him what's in the bags, and he explained to him what happens. And he's like, yeah, this is fucked up. This is really fucked up. I don't know why. I can't do this. This is fucked up. But then he goes along with it. They burn the body parts, try to get rid of the evidence. But of course, when you burn the body, all the chemicals release into the air. It starts to rain. They're next to a graveyard. And then all of a sudden,
Now you have a movie.
Now you got a movie. Exactly. He thought it was over before it really started. And then enter the group of punks.
Group of punks. One that likes to take off her clothes. One that just complains about everything. One that is trying to, he's kind of a nerd square kind of guy who's always just trying to get up the skirt of the girl with the skirt who used to be a former stripper.
Yeah.
Who just says, I just want to party. And you got the good girl who dates the guy that's in the warehouse, Freddie. Freddie, yeah.
Yeah.
And did I miss anybody? Oh, and then you have the guy that's like kind of like
the tough guy.
Trench coat punker tough guy. Yeah.
Well, he's all about the life. It's not. It's
well, you're talking about the guy that.
Oh, you're talking.
I'm talking about the guy who wears like the sunglasses.
The trench coat. Yeah, he's the one who did the documentary.
Right. Yeah.
I'm talking about Tom. What's his, Trash?
Trash.
Oh no, Trash is the chick.
Trash
Sorry.
is the naked
Suicide
one.
is
Suicide,
Mark.
Yeah.
He's big, fucking tall. Got the chains in his ear to his nose. Got the leather pants on. He's mad that nobody understands him. That he doesn't just do this for looks. This is a life movement. You know, this is life. The cod piece. You can't forget the main actor is the cod piece.
Cod piece, right?
So yeah, she gets butt naked, starts dancing in the graveyard, but they couldn't show a vagina in a movie.
Well, it's funny the way that it worked because
I don't know why
she's dancing and then he goes, "You can't have her pubic hair out there for the whole world to see." They said, "Okay."
Right.
So they sent her off stage and got her pubic hair shaved off, and then they did the scene again. So, you can't. That's worse. You can't have her bare vagina for the whole world to see. So then she got sent to like the prop department or whatever.
The makeup effects guys, they like molded
made her a Barbie doll.
Yes, that's a great example. They basically Barbie dolled her. They put like underwear on her, but then molded it to her skin so you wouldn't notice it.
Yeah.
My wife walked in when I was watching that. She's like, "Woo!" So she shaved back in the 80s. I didn't know people were doing that. I'm like, "No, it's just covered." She's like, "Yeah, it does look kind of weird," because I was wondering where the slit was.
Yeah, so you just thought like you watched that on VHS and you just assumed it wasn't high enough quality to see it.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, full on nudity.
Yeah, and just not bad.
Yeah.
And Spider, the black guy, Miguel Nunez
right,
Jr.
I completely forgot about him.
One of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
He's just not been in enough stuff. But like, is there some point in the movie that he just goes titties?
I don't
because
think
he did that in the documentary when they were their interviews. He was like titties, and I remember him doing that. And I don't know what it's from, if it's from another movie or what. But
he did another movie.
He's just this popular thing where he just goes titties.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny. He's Juana Man. I kept thinking, is he in Wong Fu? And my wife's like, no, he's not. This is John Leguizamo and Ving Rhames. I'm like, oh, he's in Juana Man, another movie about cross-dressing. Like, whatever. Isn't Ving Rhames cross-dressing in another movie?
What do you mean another movie?
Besides Wong Fu?
Two Wong Fu wigs?
Yeah.
He was in that?
Yeah.
I thought it was Wesley Snipes.
It's Wesley Snipes, Ving Rhames, and John Leguizamo.
Ving Rhames cross-dresses?
Yes.
I thought it was Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, and
Hey, maybe
Wesley
I'm wrong,
Snipes.
but shut your mouth.
You got to get your facts straight on Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything.
Julie Newmar. You forgot the Julie Newmar part. You're right. It's Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, Wesley Snipes. Well, Ving Rhames does cross-dress in a movie.
Okay.
And I want to say
I'm sure he does.
There's two movies that he does it in, but
I can't think of what it might be.
okay. Well,
we'll go to the cross-dress movie bit database.
Yeah. CDMB.
Yeah.
CDMB. Anyways, okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Fucking discussion forums on CD and beer fucking shit show.
Oh, okay. So he cross-dresses in Mission Impossible. In one of the Mission Impossible movies. That's when Tom Cruise goes and finds him.
The first one.
He's undercover as a woman.
Maybe in the second one or something. Not in the first one. First one's a serious movie.
Well, I watched all those recently.
Anyway.
So the rain hits. The zombies come out. They're in the graveyard.
Yeah.
It's acid rain. It's burning their skin. And they're running around not sure what to do.
I would also argue that besides the zombies eat brains on popular culture, I can't think of anything prior to this that I've seen zombies like coming up out of their graves, like in a graveyard.
I mean,
well, I guess
in the original Night of the Living
like the
Dead,
Italian zombie movie. I don't know when the last time you saw that. You know,
it's been a long time.
They come up out of the dirt in that.
But also, I mean, the idea of the Night of the Living Dead takes place in a graveyard in the beginning.
But you don't ever.
So
see
you get the idea that.
But I mean, like somebody coming, like hand coming out of the dirt,
right,
out of the grave.
It's assumed in Night of the Living Dead, but it's never shown.
Correct.
Because, again, they take place in the middle of nowhere in a graveyard, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of zombies. Like, where'd they come from? And they're wearing suits.
And the first guy was wearing a suit.
So you assume he's like a dead guy that was, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's the plot. The kids eventually take refuge in various places. And
they run into probably the most famous zombie in the series, or at least
Tarman, right?
The Tarman. He's the first one that says brains.
Right.
His brains. That's where it comes
tongue
from.
hanging out. Big, tall, lanky actor doing that, and they slathered them all up in oily,
hot vinyl and
slicky-
stuff.
Yeah, and he looks great. He's a really creepy, weird-looking, eyeballs popping out zombie, and he takes a bite right out of Suicide's head,
Yes.
which is another kind of like Return of the Living Dead mainstay. We're so used to seeing, again, from Romero movies and Walking Dead, stuff like that. You get bit in the leg, you get bit in the arm, they pull the flesh away from your neck or whatever, but...
You die later on, then turn into a zombie.
Yeah, but not like... I mean, to be perfectly honest, you probably can't bite through somebody's cranium.
Hey, you know what? That's the thing with The Walking Dead I've always hated was like they just like stab people in the head and they go like, oh, the virus has made their skull brittle. Like, well, stop making excuses. You can't
But
just
this
stab
is a living
you know.
person being bit by...
That's
I don't
what I
know
mean,
what the
like
bite pressure is, but I feel like your teeth would break. Like, you probably wouldn't be able to do
Plus,
that.
there's not enough like as I say
But fuck it,
traction.
whatever. It's a movie. Who gives a
Friction.
shit?
There's the like how it's too
Right.
round and yeah.
But it's cool.
It's like biting a bowling ball.
In this movie, it makes a crunch sound.
You see a big chunk take off his head.
right.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, I wish Suicide was in the movie more though. Like I kind of like curious what he would have gone. You know.
They probably did that because he's the big tough guy, and then he got like taken out.
Oh yeah,
first, you know?
absolutely. That's what it was. So yeah, they run off and then they go. That's when they end up in the graveyard. And then they come out of the ground.
Yeah.
The girl who's like, "Have you ever wanted a bunch of men to put their hands on you and eat you alive?"
You ever think about all the ways of dying?
Yeah, of course she gets grabbed by a bunch of zombies and she's screaming. This one thing. So, I don't know if this is making fun of the punks because their culture was very much around like, actually not really, but like, death was a thing to them. His name
Right.
is suicide and trash and shit
Right.
like that, right? When it actually comes time to like die, it's like, no, not me,
Right.
So that's also funny.
But
And
then she kind of turns into the leader of the zombies. She turns into like a scary. So that's interesting because I kind of forgot about that. But she was also the rain on her bare skin. She said that it was like.
it was burning and stuff.
Right.
But the other people got on their skin too. She was naked. They were wearing
here's,
clothes.
Here's
but-
why I bring it up, because it's not until the third movie, or maybe even the fourth one now, I can't remember, that it adds if you get bit by a zombie, you turn into a zombie.
Third movie does that.
Okay, but not in the first one. I was going to say that. I said the only
right,
way
actually,
you can turn
yeah.
into a zombie in the original.
But again,
Return of the Living Dead-
that happened in Dawn at this point. I don't know if it
In
happens
Night of
in
the Living
Night.
Dead, it did
It
happen.
did too. I mean, so that's
Yeah.
already kind of been established.
Well,
It just doesn't happen in this
it's
series.
not necessarily, because in Night of the Living Dead, when people come back, it's after they may have been bitten, but it's because they died. So
The bite
they
didn't
could've-
kill them?
Well, not necessarily. Like, they could have just come back from being dead.
What happened? What was the little girl in the first movie?
Well, that's what I'm saying. She eats her.
Was she bitten or was she sick?
That's right. No, she was. Yeah, she was bitten, and that's why she turns out. Okay, so that was established in the very first movie.
And at least for guarantee, Roger gets bitten.
Well, in Dawn of the Dead,
And they even say in Dawn of the Dead, I've seen a dozen guys get bit. None of them last more than 3 days.
The Return of the Living Dead, you really couldn't turn into a zombie unless you were dosed with trioxin.
Yeah, it's what? Yeah, or you were bitten by someone who has
Well,
So even some of the other guys have said like it's in the saliva. So if they bite you and they get in the skin, the virus or the chemical gets inside you, then you.
but
yeah.
besides trash, nobody does.
And he doesn't.
nobody
Come,
else-
well, if you get bit in the head, you don't seem to come back because
I
the guy with the
propose-
mohawk, I don't remember his name. It's not Suicide. It's not Trash. Scuzz. Scuzz gets. Well, spoiler alert. No, Scuzz gets bit in the head and he doesn't come back.
Right.
So if your brain
I don't
gets
really want to
eaten-
like explore the logical errors in a movie that I love, but if she clearly wasn't bit in her head, she comes back. But I always
when I always think like someone gets eaten by a bunch of zombies, how do they come back? Wouldn't the zombies have eaten enough away that there wouldn't be much to come back?
right.
But again, that's another lead. Let it go.
I let it go. I still say it's the trioxin. I don't think that the Return of the Living Dead. Later, it happens, and I think it's because of other zombies things. Also, later, you could shoot them in the head, and this is why
I don't even want. We'll get there.
All
Yeah,
right,
I know.
fair enough. Fine. All
Not
right.
in this movie. Later in the series.
So she does come back as Naked Gray, leader of the zombies, and she there's like a homeless
white,
guy,
like super white.
homeless guy that's just like walking, and she's like coming at him from a distance. He's like, cool.
There's like this big naked titties hanging out. Yeah.
And then she turns into a scary monster, bites
And
his head.
they actually put a prosthetic on her mouth, on her face to make
that
her
thing
mouth
was
open like 3
really
times the
wide,
size.
yeah.
And
So
it's
again,
really
like-
short. You barely notice it,
Right.
but when you see it, it's fucking whoa. That's crazy.
Again, this movie is more cartoonish. It is more,
I don't agree with that though.
I didn't say it's not scary. But you can't get away with that.
Okay, we had this argument. Okay, so what
George Romero wouldn't do that.
what I'm going
Walking
for is
Dead
that
wouldn't do that.
while it has comedy, the comedy is dark it's not laugh out loud comedy unless you're someone who's fucked up in the head like us,
Yeah,
and
I'm fucked
you
up
think
in the head 'cause I'm
you think
laughing.
it's funny when someone gets hit the pickaxe in the head and doesn't die.
Yeah.
But it's not funny, haha, like hitting in Dawn of the Dead and they get the pie in the face. Like the guys are running rampant, they're kind of having fun, and it's funny. This one is 100% serious. How I differentiate this is the characters are scared for their fucking lives. They are like freaking out, they're shaking. There is no comedy,
I think that there is, though. I mean, you look at the general that comes home and she's like, "I made you pot roast." Like, I had pot roast for lunch. He's like an asshole. Like, it's meant to be funny. Like,
it's meant to be funny, but yes, in the universe itself, there's no slapstick in the universe. It's slapstick.
There's no slapstick, but I'm saying you brought up the unhinged jaw, and that's not something you would say, "Oh, and also the zombies can unhinge their jaw." No, it was done for stylistic effect.
Absolutely. It is a comedy. There's no doubt about that.
I'm not even making an
But what
argument
I'm saying
about comedy.
is, the way the viewer takes it versus the way the character inside the universe of the movie takes it. In certain movies, like This Is the End is a good example. This Is the End is a comedy. They're scared for their lives, but they're sitting there cracking jokes and being stupid, right?
Yes, it is more serious than I will give you.
But they're 100% dead serious in that movie.
Sure.
But not in the same way that this is. These people are really scared for their lives, not like, "Oh, I'm scared in a funny way." This is like they're actually scared.
No, I understand.
So as a 7-year-old boy watching this movie, I didn't know there was
still defending your 7-year-old self.
I didn't know there was humor in this movie. It scared the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
I had not. Yeah. Anyways, living dead, living shit.
Yeah, they're fucking scary. I mean, these zombies are pretty fucking scary. They run,
and they kind of run.
Again, another and another point for
not quite running, but they can
running.
speed up.
Remember the scene where I don't know what they are.
Cops
military. They're not even cops. They
like,
are.
It's
Is it cops?
Police cars.
There's like a barricade.
Yeah, it's police cars.
Okay.
And they have, sawhorses out.
Okay, sure. Yes, that's the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the zombies, they don't hobble their way out.
You're saying that because one of them's some of them has like a welding mask, like a SWAT uniform, but it's not quite. They're cops.
But those zombies come out like a marathon. Like
a little bit, yeah. I would say it's more of a fast, walky jog thing, not a run.
Well, it's still way fucking scarier than
Yes.
what is portrayed in earlier movies.
Speaking of that scene when they get in the cop car and they're driving around, if you watch, and I noticed this, it's not even like look really hard. It's like, no, it's obvious. They have the shot with inside the car, but then when you look the shot from the outside the car, you see the cameraman in the car holding the camera with the big red light on it. It's really obvious.
I hate that stuff. I don't ever want to know that.
You don't want to know the movie mistakes?
No.
It'll ruin it for you?
Not for the really good ones.
Okay, so we left off. Kids, they get to the mortuary. They let them in. Like, who are you? Why are you crazy? And then they go, "There's dead people outside." And
so
this is now this. No. So this is where it was born. The seed was planted. The idea of, well, I guess there's Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead does this, but for me, the quick version of it is to board up the windows and have them like Resident Evil 4, the cabin. The idea of like having like what would be fun in a zombie apocalypse is how would you have your house designed in a way to like block them out or whatever. This is where zombies try to break in and they're boarding it up with dressers and furniture and extra wood and doors they have in this place. They're nailing it to the wall and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Great scene.
Also, Freddie and Frank are dying.
Oh yeah, they're super sick at this point.
There's a great scene where the paramedics eventually like show up before like the shit really hits the fan.
Yeah.
And they're taking their vitals and doing all these things. They're looking at it kind of funny, and they're like,
they switch. At one point, one's on one paramedics with one guy, one's with the other, and then they get up and they switch to each other's guy.
Yeah.
They're like, "My patient's fucked up. Let me see your patient."
Right. And they go, "I don't know what to tell you. Everything we're dead." Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
you're not alive.
You're not alive. Yeah.
They make the thing is like, 70 degrees. Like, what's that? He goes, room temperature.
Right.
And that's
and they're
one of those
getting
great lines.
rigor mortis is setting in. They're getting more stiff, and they're starting to be in real pain.
Yeah.
It's hurting, and they have what do you call it when the blood pools. And all that kind of stuff.
The bruising and stuff.
It's really painful.
Which
really
leads to a
sad.
lot of them making the funny noises of pain, which they're in pain, but the way that they agonize is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Just like, these two actors do a really good job of being funny in pain. Somewhat.
So trioxin, if you're not dead,
it does
kills you
and turns you come back.
And then you come back. But there's not like a moment where you close your eyes and wake back up again. You just turn into a zombie. Right?
You die. You die, and there's a good like 5 or 6 seconds before you come back.
Okay.
maybe not that long. It
Right.
changes based on the different movies, but
Let's move on to the next part of like the mythology.
I was gonna say,
you brought up even though you kind of talked about it, like the brains and all that kind of stuff. So they've been boarding up the windows and stuff like that.
yeah.
The zombies are trying to get in.
Before
What?
I want to say maybe at the same time or before this, Bert, which is the mortuary guy, or the embalmer, whatever you want to call mortician, he's like, I think we should quarantine these two. We should lock them in the church.
Right.
Because he's already got an idea. They're dead. They're going to come back and try to kill us, or we're going to get sick. So they locked them in the church with her girlfriend's like, I'm not going to leave Freddy.
Right.
So they locked them 3 in the church, and because there's a church on site, because it's it's a mortuary.
Right.
And then they go have the break-in. They end up having to pull in a half a zombie because it bites Scuzz.
Yeah.
And then they tie it down.
Who makes the escape
idea?
attempt in the police car?
Who what?
Who gets away in the police car?
Spider and Bert.
Spider and Bert.
The
Okay.
boss and the Miguel Nunez.
Do they get away? I can't remember.
No.
Nobody gets away.
Yeah, I mean, nobody gets away. That's the point of the movie.
So there's also a
But this is after that.
a running gag.
That's after what we're
of
talking
people showing up, paramedics, a cop,
about. Yeah.
like not a lot of people, just like one person, and then another person to check on the last person that came. And every time they come, so the zombie stage ambushes, they're also smart.
Yes.
I mean, they're not like fucking.
They're not
Albert
dumb.
Einstein.
Well,
but
okay. So one of the things that happens is they get the first pair of paramedics, and I'll tell you, again, this is from a 7-year-old self. Even the way it was directed, those actors seemed like they were genuinely scared.
Yeah.
And they even said, like, no, it was fucking creepy because a bunch of people came up and just grab you, and they're covered in mud and they're pulling you down to the ground in the rain. Like, that's a genuinely scary scene. I was watching those two guys get it.
But then right after that, you get send more paramedics.
So these guys don't come back either. They get eaten. Their brain, like their heads get eaten good. You see it later on. Half the guy's head's gone.
And they're using a lot of amputee actors and stuff like that to do some pretty disturbing imagery.
Yeah. But yes, they're eating it, and the ambulance speaker is like, report into base. We haven't heard from you in a while. And the zombie picks up the microphone, and the ambulance says, send more paramedics.
Later they do send more cops.
Yes, and that ends up in the other movies as well. Like, that is definitely a mythology thing at that point. Okay, so yeah, the paramedics thing happens, and then the ambushing, and the cops start to show up. They get ambushed too. There's even a scene where the cop that has now turned into a zombie, as another cop car shows up, he's waving the little traffic light to direct the cop in. So yeah, there's intelligence shown in them, and we did skip over the whole idea that they pull in a. We were talking about that. We forgot about
the top half of a completely desiccated corpse with like the tailbone.
Flopping around,
exposed and flopping around.
And they talk to her. Bert has the idea of like, well, let's see what she has to say. Let's tie her down. And she says they eat brains because they're in pain, and that's where that all comes from. But they have emotions. It seems like, I don't know if they have feelings and thoughts and stuff like that, but they sure as shit aren't just mindless zombies in this universe.
Right. They're all just really hardcore junkies, basically.
Yeah.
They're all, they're all
looking for the next
heroin
fix.
Fiends. Your
Well, they have a lot more energy.
Pain and the things you would do to get that fix.
They have a lot more energy than a heroin addict. Do you watch that? You ever see that YouTube video? You're in the wrong house, homie.
No.
Comes home to find a heroin addict on his couch with some like kind of pretty Asian girl, and she's just like, "I copped this house." He's like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "I copped it. I copped this couch." It's pretty funny. Heroin addicts are hilarious sometimes. Also super depressing. So. Spider, Bert, they run out, they grab the cop car, they say, we'll come back for you guys. And then they try to drive to the door, and they're just covered in zombies, and said, we got to get out of here. And they drive out, and then when they drive out, they see, holy shit, there's another group of zombies outside this place blocking the street, outside the graveyard, outside the medical supply. They end up driving back to the medical supply warehouse and crashing it into the wall to kill 2 zombies, I guess. And they run inside, lock the door, and inside there is 2 of the punks that were still in there from before. Now the groups are split up. There's some in the mortuary, some in the medical supply warehouse. At this point,
the military knows about the situation now.
Well, the military doesn't. At this point, Freddy's turned into a zombie. They have to go rescue her. Actually, this happened before this. They had to go rescue her out of the church, but then they board the church up. But Freddy's like in there raving stark mad. They threw acid in his face. He can't see. Frank. This is like one of the best scenes in the movie. I know you love it, and it's a staple, beautiful, like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Go on.
Okay, so he goes down to the crematorium, the
Oh, yes.
incinerator.
One of the best scenes in the movie, yeah.
And he knows what's going to happen. He knows he's going to turn when he dies. He's going to become a zombie. So he decides to actually burn himself.
It's super sad. He takes off his wedding band.
He gives it a kiss, puts it on a little nub next to the door to the incinerator, pulls the fucking thing out while he's in pain, lays on it, pushes himself in with the fire going, and shuts the door and burns himself to ashes.
Honorable death.
Yeah, funny, sad, beautiful.
His idea.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, how do I go out? Like, he asked Dan O'Bannon, like, let me just do this thing. It's a real short scene. He said, go for it. They shot it, and he was like, what's one of my favorite scenes in the movie?
Yeah.
It's actually it's good. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
In many ways. So Frank's now gone, unfortunately. He's one of the best character in the movie, right?
Yeah, easily.
Besides, I would say number 2 would be Ernie, the mortician.
Yeah, he's great, too, with his little German Luger.
Yeah.
And his burgundy New Balances that matches burgundy
tracksuit.
He's fucking great. He'd be a great Halloween costume. I have to think about that for next year.
At one point when he calls the cops and he's like, phone's dead. Like, he's freaking out, but he's trying to keep his composure and shit. Like, yeah, it's really good. Honestly, they could have holed up inside that. Well, I mean, I don't know how fucking Freddy gets it, but he has steel shutters, big heavy door. Like, they could have just holed up inside that place. Now, I don't know how much food they have, but like in just the embalming room, it has all the big heavy doors. They probably could have been safe in there forever.
Yeah.
But,
well, like in the horror siege video, we say sometimes it's as much fun just to see how they do it wrong as opposed to do it right, because then after the movie you get to go, I would have done it this way.
Yes,
well, really,
exactly.
they didn't do it that way. They should have done this.
Yeah, so now the group split up. They need to go back downstairs and call the number on the tank, which is the Army's phone number.
Tarman's
down there. They literally knock his head off. They knock his block off with a baseball bat. Yes, now the cops are out there with barricades. They're trying to call to get to the cops. Cops like, I can't hear you. It's loud. They look over. There's a crowd of zombies. They start shooting. The zombies just kill all the cops and pull their heads off and shit. You see Trash one more time with her big mouth bite the cop on the phone. Then they call we're near the end here. So they call the phone number for the Army. And the guy is like, oh, I've been waiting for this call. I've been, the colonel guy goes to his little desk in his house with the super secure phone.
He's got like a NORAD fucking computer in his study of his house.
He's like, okay. And I love how he takes notes next to his bed on his phone. He's like,
it's very calm.
You're where? Okay, and what happened when the guy breathed the chemical in? Mm-hmm. Okay, and how long? Okay.
Yes.
All right, let me transfer you back to the colonel in the other place. I'm going to go do something. Calls up, we found our Easter eggs. Or they call them, I think they call them Easter eggs. Calls over to some, young kid who's manning the artillery somewhere on a train track. And then you start to see, with some really good stop motion animation, which reminded me of fucking RoboCop 2. When it loads the shell. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. It reminded me of RoboCop 2 so much. It loads a big nuclear artillery round.
You probably don't shoot a nuclear artillery round. I don't know if that even exists.
No, of course not.
No, you don't shoot a nuclear anything with a cannon, but that's fine.
A cannon, exactly. It's like a big howitzer,
Yeah.
And they're in the basement going, okay, they're gonna come rescue us. We told them it's gonna happen. They know what's going on. They have a plan. Yeah. They have a plan. The army has a plan. Yeah. We can trust the army, right?
Right.
What's that noise? Pew! I love the freeze frame. They freeze frame and they show every group.
Yeah.
They show them in the medical supply warehouse. They show, the freeze frame in the mortician office is the fucking Freddy breaking through the door and then breaking into the attic where they're hiding. We'll talk about that scene in a second too. It shows the zombies looking up at the sky. It kind of like, everyone's going, what is that? And then fucking kaboom. Their backup plan was just, hey, we'll just destroy the entire town with one huge nuclear blast.
Yeah.
The casualties were in the 4,000. Not too much collateral damage, they say. Yeah. It's only 400 square blocks or 400 square miles, something like that,
And then, but that's not the end.
Of course, the fires, it's starting to rain. The rain will take care of the fires, but of course, all that nuclear shit, along with the fucking zombie shit, all went back up in the clouds. It starts raining again. And the last scene of the movie, you start to see it going underground and touching the foot of
it's just it's the same
scene from earlier,
movie,
showing that it's all just going to start again. So yeah.
Do you want a party?
Well, the song is when she's dancing naked.
It's party time. No, that's a different song.
Oh my God, it's such a good one too.
It's like Make Love Till We Die.
Make Love Till We Die. Yeah. We can make love till we die.
Yeah. There's a so I guess
really
we'll
good.
plug the Scream Factory Blu-ray release on this if you don't already have
Oh, yeah.
that. It's a fantastic
Because it includes that
release.
documentary, which actually was a separate release in 2010. It was just its own thing.
Right.
And they put it all together inside this package.
Yeah.
Movie looks good. After all these years later, has the right amount of film grain. It's clear. It's a good-looking transfer.
Tons of supplemental material.
I haven't gotten even. I've gone.
More commentaries than you're gonna know what to do with.
Yeah.
Big, nice documentaries.
Really good interview with Dan O'Bannon. Really sad
I
because
haven't
he
watched
passed
that
away.
yet. Is that the one where it's kind of like, were they showing scenes of that in the documentary?
Yes.
Okay.
He's in his study and he's old, but he even.
I didn't really say Dan O'Bannon. I mean, if you don't know who Dan O'Bannon is, he did a bunch of stuff, including this, but like actually probably bigger credits than this, so that he's the credited writer for Alien. If you don't already know that. It got rewritten a bunch, but like, it's his chest bursters and eggs and all that kind of stuff, that's
If you
him.
watch our Meta Barons video, you would see that Mobius and Dan O'Bannon and H.R. Giger are three of the main people that are responsible for Alien.
Right.
Aliens in general.
And we're also involved in one of the greatest science fiction movies never made, which was the Dune movie never made by
Alejandro Jodorowsky. Yeah, watch our Meta Barons video.
Yeah. Okay.
So the one thing we did skip over I want to talk about was the scene where Ernie takes Trish. I think Trish is the nice girl that's dating Freddy.
Yeah.
Freddy's coming for her. He wants to eat her
Oh, right.
brains.
Yeah, and that scene's sad too because they're up in the.
But it's really smart. It's a really good scene that they end up going up in the attic. Ernie's leg is injured. They're trying to close the door for Freddy. It ended up breaking it, whatever. So he can't get away. They take the ladder. They go up in the attic. They try to block the attic door. Somehow Freddy's just strong enough to break open this metal door and break open this fucking attic thing. But he has his little gun, his little Luger, and they're hiding up in the attic. And he has his arm around her. And he looks over and he starts to pick the gun up and he points it to her head.
Right.
So he's gonna save her. He's gonna kill her to save her from being
fate
eaten.
worse than death.
Yes. And it's actually a really sad but beautiful scene because he's doing her a favor.
You get some vibes there from Last Man on Earth / I Am Legend 2, just because in those your neighbor, like people that you know, are like, Neville, come outside, Neville.
Trish, I can smell your brains.
Yeah. I love you, baby. You have to let me eat your brains. Which is funny, but it's sad and scary.
It's a really good. He does a
loved.
really good job of that
Yeah.
character afterwards because he's pretty quiet throughout the movie. And then of course there's a scene early on after he gets poisoned where he's like, "You'd watch your mouth if you like this job. If I like this job," Yeah, it is a fantastic fucking movie.
So that's Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
That's our pitch if you haven't already seen it.
So now we get to go to Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Now, one of the jokes about the name of the movie was it's kind of already too long. I can't add a subtitle to it or any kind of thing else. So I think we're just going to say Part 2.
Right. Well, this is before it became in vogue.
Right, but he said that there's already 5 words in there. You know what I mean? Like, we can't differentiate this. So it's...
When did this one come out?
1988.
Okay.
3 years later.
3 years later. All right.
Now, this is obviously... I mean, the first one was a low-budget horror movie.
Right.
But this is even more of like a... Does this even go to theaters?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I don't think there was like a home video market in 1980.
Well, so the third one is a home... Well, I don't know if it... But it was definitely... No, it was Trimark.
The third one was in the 90s.
Trimark. Which...
At the height of VHS.
If you remember Trimark, that's the Leprechaun thing.
Yeah.
That's when we first encountered the idea of Trimark being the home video market and everything like that. Yeah, so Return of the Living Dead Part 2. It...
So...
None of the other movies are going to stand up anywhere near the first one.
No.
But the second one's as close to you can get to like... I took it as like... kind of like a Tremors 2 or Tremors 3.
I take it as RoboCop 2 to RoboCop.
No, because... Well, you're more versed in that, but I would say... I didn't know the whole thing was a hot take on RoboCop 2, and I thought RoboCop 2 was just as good as the first one. I don't know.
No, people do not generally accept RoboCop 2 as much as RoboCop. And they shouldn't. RoboCop is obviously a better movie.
But it also was a very mainstream in theaters, loud thing. This is probably not
No,
so
I'm not
much.
saying in terms of popular. I just mean like it tried to be like the first one. It tried to be, a worthy successor, and it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't Dan O'Bannon. It wasn't, it wasn't. But it was still fun. It's still a good movie.
Right. Okay, it was in theaters.
If Return of the Living Dead, the original movie, is the edgy, dark comedy, punk rock, like legit rated R horror movie,
Yeah.
I think Return of the Living Part 2 is the what I have heard people call a gateway movie.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's a movie that I think that your kid could probably watch.
Yeah, it's not nearly as...
I think it's more fun. I think it's more Halloween.
Yeah.
I think it's something, again, depending on how old the kid is or whatever, but it's like the...
Okay, I'll say this. I remember seeing this one as a kid a little bit.
Yeah.
And it kind of scared me too.
Sure.
But I don't think I watched it from beginning to end. It was more like I remember bits and pieces of it that were like stood out as like...
Right.
That scared the shit out of me because this one takes place in like suburbia. Well, I mean, I don't live in suburbia, but this takes place in like track housing.
Right.
Not in a, so it's kind of close to home in a way.
Now that we've just talked about it, so going back to Return of the Living Dead, you have scenes where you have suicide. You have, technically, you have somebody who kills himself because he doesn't want to turn into a zombie. It's a super sad scene.
Yeah.
You have scenes where
I thought you meant suicide, the character.
Yeah, you also have
I didn't
suicide.
know you actually meant like a suicide. I thought you meant I thought you were trying to say like there was punk rock. The characters in the first one are like, they're characters. They're animated characters in a way. The second one is like there's like a cable guy,
right,
and a kid and a lady doing gym. Just Susan. What's the thing she does? The exercise, jazzercise stuff.
Jazzercise yeah, I know what you mean.
But, Tybo before there was Tybo, whatever. It's much closer to a real setting than the first movie.
Right. But I was gonna say there's no scenes in part 2 where anybody kills themselves or contemplates killing another person to save them from a horrible fate.
Right.
Or
the second one's sillier.
Yeah, and the first one is obviously there's a cynicism of the military. These are done with like a wink and a nod, but they're
back to that whole thing of the ending of the first one. That was part of the whole typical Army fuck up. When something goes wrong, what do? We just bomb the shit out of it.
Right. So this one, again, I think that was my first vibe. It was just like this is more of a fun Halloween movie. I don't really think Return to the Living Dead is a bummer, but there's things in Return to the Living Dead are kind of bittersweet or a bummer. This is pretty much more of a, it's just a fun horror film.
Yeah.
The note I took was...
It actually has a bigger budget than the first movie, too, which is crazy.
Yeah, I saw that. So this is kind of like Michael Jackson's Thriller. That's like kind of what I...
Yeah, I mean, literally.
Well, that's funny because I wrote that down, though, before that scene came up.
Okay.
But that was the vibe I got. Even it's just a scene where they're coming out of the graves. Remember that whole scene is shot with a more...
Well, the music.
With the music and stuff.
Okay. So let's get a couple things.
Sure. Also, you have a child main character as part of it, too. Yeah, so clearly they're going for a younger demographic.
One thing to even before the movie starts. So when this originally came out on, in theaters and on TV later on, like, I don't know if HBO or whatever, when it was released later on DVD or VHS even, I don't know if VHS, but at least for the DVD and stuff like that, they changed the soundtrack than what was the original soundtrack. So, like, you talk about that scene where they're coming out of the ground, it's all, like, kind of rocky, horror, whatever. That's not the original music.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's crazy about it is if you buy it's a DVD, right? I don't remember I have it's a DVD, not a Blu-ray, sorry.
It's probably not gotten any kind of special release.
Yeah, no, there's no special release.
Hey, if anybody's out there listening that does any of that kind of stuff, I'll buy that.
Yeah, I would do that.
I'd buy a nice Return of the Living Dead Part 2 disc.
The DVD has the English audio, a commentary track, and then as French audio. The French audio has the original soundtrack with French dialogue. So I was flipping back and forth.
I can't remember anything about the music and what I watched.
How
would you describe it?
I was going back and forth, and I don't remember much. I feel like some of
I know it didn't sound anything like the first movie.
But it tried at times to like have that kind of like that rock music.
Okay.
It tried to have like a thriller sound to it. Mm-hmm. That's why you probably thought that, because that scene in the graveyard when they're coming out of the ground, it's a very poppy song, and it's meant to ape Thriller.
Yeah.
It's that song that you heard sounds like the original, but it's not the original. Like they tried, I don't know why, if it's just like rights to the songs or whatever the fuck happened, but they tried to redo it, and so it sounds similar but not quite. I can't remember exactly because it's a whole movie. I couldn't watch it in fucking French and then compare the two, But what I got out of it was I think the French one has the original soundtrack. I feel like that was more towards a like campy horror movie music. And the new one has more serious, dramatic, scary music, which that's a huge deal with, like, what's the theme of the movie? Are we going silly? Are we going, like, scary, serious? I think the original soundtrack was much closer to, like, what the first movie was like. Well, no, sorry, never mind. Well, fuck it, whatever, never mind. Forget what I said. The original soundtrack is much closer to, like, a campy horror movie, who's also kind of a comedy, but not quite as much, whereas this new one is, like, spooky music, except for that scene at the graveyard. It's still very like Thriller, Michael Jackson sounding pop,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. So they don't put on that, but they put it on the French version on the same disc.
Right.
Really weird. And you
is
watch,
really
read
weird.
the reviews. People are complaining, like, and even the director of the commentary goes, "I don't recognize this music." He's like, "This is not the same music we did either. I don't know why they did this. You know, someone got their hands on it and changed it later on,
Right.
which is weird for the DVD. You know."
Yeah, super bizarre.
So on to this movie. The main plot here is the same thing. Fucking armies driving. You could, well, no, because the first town got blown up. They're transporting trioxin 245 in like an army truck. The driver's smoking a joint. You know, they're out in the rain at nighttime transporting stuff. They hit a fucking bounce on a bridge, and 3 of the barrels go overboard into the river, or one of them at least, and it, you know, ends up in a sewer drain.
Yep.
And
Typical army fuck up.
yeah, this one has a young kid. He's probably like 8,
He's not that young.
7, 8,
Really?
10.
I don't know anything about children.
I mean, I think about what I was doing.
I would have said like 10, 11 at least.
So there's a comment.
I would think that kid is like in 5th or 6th grade.
The
So
commentary
whatever,
on that
makes
movie
sense.
actually is 2 separate commentaries on one track, but you could tell they weren't in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
One is the actor for the bully. He was like 13. So yeah, do the math. They're like middle
13
school.
sounds right.
Yeah, they're about middle school, early middle school. They live in a place where the housing, it's like a housing
white
development. White flight, yeah, totally. They're still building houses, and it's like they live there, but the houses across the street from them are still being built.
Right.
It's a brand new housing development.
It's like where what's his face was in the beginning of the movie in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Oh God, why?
Because then they had a race.
That's where
through,
they had the race at. They didn't live there though. It was a
Yeah.
construction site. Yes,
Suburbia.
Kind of. Yes, very very much. Santa Clarita is where they were shot, I think. So out here, the kids have nothing to do. There's no stores, there's no malls, there's nothing. It's just dirt piles and construction. So they're off. You know, what do kids do? They get in trouble. They go around and they go to there's a graveyard nearby.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to evoke. So the main character, the kid, he likes like horror comics. It gives you that Creep Show vibe. If you've seen Creep Show, that it's all revolving around like. They don't say EC Comics, but basically Tales from the Crypt.
EC Comics comes up a lot in the commentary for either that one or part 3.
Yeah.
He mentions EC Comics a lot. The director did.
Yeah. So there's that going on. It's kind of weird. It's the kids. Seems like he wants to like join their little.
So he has
gang.
two. There's 2 kids that live in the area basically. They're his age. They're bullies. He doesn't like them, but it seems like he can't avoid them, so he tries to make peace with them in a way.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really want to be near them.
Gets him a comic book or something, right?
He gives him a comic book like, "Oh, that's cool, guys. Here, I'm going to share with you. Oh, going to come join our club? No, I want to go home and do my homework.
Yeah.
You're coming with us. You know, like very much, you know, whatever. They go to a graveyard, say, here's our clubhouse, and they throw him in a mausoleum and lock the door.
Right.
Like, they're assholes, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Inside the mausoleum, or soon to be inside the mausoleum, we get the return of
Frank and Freddy.
But they're not Frank and Freddy.
Right. So this is where it kind of gets funny, and this is another weird throw into like, what the fuck are these movies?
So Mad Max does this, and I'm way into it. Like
I love it. It's fine.
You just recast the same actors in different roles.
Very similar roles.
Very similar roles. Obviously, they knew clearly the people that made part 2 like loved that shit from the first one, right? And maybe they couldn't get the whole. I'm sure they would love to like recast the entire cast in the first movie, but like maybe these are the guys they could get or whatever. So now instead of working in a medical warehouse, they are grave diggers.
Yes, the Frank, the older guy, is a grave digger, and he's bringing Freddy on as like a new job. Like, I'll pay $100, work overnight with me.
Yeah.
And then he finds out what he does, and he's like, oh man, I don't know if I want to be part of this. And he has a girlfriend as well.
A cute girlfriend. Yeah.
It's not the same girl, but it's the same kind of relationship as the first movie.
Yeah. Except the reversal of it, the way that ends, I really appreciated and thought was funny.
Yes. I like it too.
We'll get to. So they're going in there. It's kind of still kind of the same thing though. They're getting parts.
They're getting body part, but they're stealing,
But
diamond
not for like
rings.
the black market or anything like that, right?
No,
It's
they're he gets a head at one point.
Yeah.
He puts a head in a bag.
Like that's fucking
But
illegal.
no, he was in there to get like the bracelets and the wedding rings
Right.
and things like that, and that.
But they're
jewelry.
not. But there is some semblance of on the up and up of what they're doing. They're just doing a bunch of bad illegal stuff while they're doing it, right?
What do you mean?
Why are they there to begin with? Are they criminal? Like if a cop
They're
rolled by,
criminals.
okay, there are just straight up grave diggers. then.
Yes.
Okay, like literally in the not like they worked the. work at the
No,
cemetery.
he says, "I'll pay
they're
you
literally
100."
just thieving gravediggers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I just want to get that straight.
The old
Got
guy
it.
is, and he's bringing the young guy in on
Got
it,
it.
and the young guy doesn't actually want to do it, but
Okay, so they're
there's
literally
a diamond
going into-
bracelet for your
Yeah,
girlfriend.
there's all kinds of. I love the gallows. I love the gallows humor. Like I go back and watch those scenes again. That stuff's fun. Like, oh look, she's got a stiff neck. Like that kind of stuff is fun.
Again, this movie's a little bit sillier, but
Yeah.
still, it's still scary at points, but on a different level.
Right.
The kid breaks out. They end up in the sewer, and they find the barrel with the bad kids, and then the kids like push the buttons and try to open it. Of course, shit, I don't even know. They all jump out and get wet. The bad kids go back later and open it.
Yeah.
They get gassed. Tarman comes out.
Like, one of the kids.
Tarman 2.0.
One of the kids will continue to like be a character, and the other kid just disappears.
You're right, absolutely. Don't ever see him again. They breathe the gas in, and then they go home sick, and so you already know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
The kid is like, "There's a zombie," because then the kid goes back and he looks at the thing for the phone number,
Right.
and then he sees Tarman.
So I'm trying to remember. Is it just that Is it just that when they opened it, it got like in the stream water, and that's how it got? To
No. So when the kids opened it and it got all over them, the gas came out and then spread around.
It just kind of moved around.
It went to the graveyard and it
Okay.
started raining.
Okay.
And I guess that means it went into the ground.
Gotcha.
Because the rain carried it down.
It's not quite as scientific as the first one, but
And
whatever.
the mist also got inside the mausoleum where the guys were in.
right.
And so they
So they
breathed
get
it
zapped
in.
again.
Right. Exact same thing happens to him. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of callbacks to the first movie especially with these two characters, because he'll say something like, "Oh, you like this job?" It's like, "Do I like this job?"
Yeah.
They're
And also,
very
like,
much.
Nobody's ever gonna bury me. I'm gonna get cremated.
Yeah, exactly. They knew what they were doing with those
Does
characters.
it feel like this has all happened before?
Yeah, that's a good one later on. So now you got the setup. Zombies come out of the ground again. The little kid sees Tarman. His name is Billy. No,
I can't remember.
Billy is the bad kid. He's like the bully. His name is Johnny. Brenda's the sister, which is a great funny name. Jesse. His name is Jesse. So Jesse goes, "There's zombies," and then of course it's late at night, like in the dark. The parents are gone. The sister's watching the younger brother, and the cable guy shows up 3 hours late and decides to do cable work at nighttime, which is not a
that's pretty
thing.
Weird.
But who's the cable guy?
And the cable guy's like 16 years old.
No, he's already graduated high school.
I know, but I mean,
Who's the cable guy?
oh yeah, he looks really familiar.
Are you being a jerk? Are you being honest right now?
No, I'm being honest. I'm not thinking of it.
Oh
right
my gosh, seriously? It's Bobby Briggs. Everything we do is tied to Twin Peaks. Every single thing we ever work on is tied to
You
Twin Peaks.
just watched it. It's been years since I've seen it. It's Bobby Briggs. Okay.
Maybe you should watch it again right now.
Right now?
Right now.
Let's
Let's
stop
stop right now. My wife watched it with me. I watched it twice.
We do need to try to watch it before the new show comes out.
Oh, I mean, I will. Yes, there's a Twin Peaks person in here. Well, there's more than one, I'm sure, in the entire series, but Bobby Briggs. This is actually before he did Twin Peaks, though.
Right.
So this probably helps him get into Twin Peaks.
Yeah, probably.
But great nonetheless. Dana Ashbrook is the actor. He plays a cable guy. He recognizes the girl. He's like, "Don't you go to Central High?" And she's like, my name's Tom Essex. I graduated. I was this. I was that. I was a swimmer or something like that. She's like, I don't know
remember
you. Yeah. He's like, great. So obviously he likes her. What happens? The shit hits the fan. Zombies come.
Zombies come out. I mean, it's
Yeah, like there's nothing.
There's not really a plot. They run around the city.
So back to the tone of the film though. When the zombies come out of the ground,
Yeah.
there's like scenes where like the hands are coming up out of the ground. They're
and then
digging their way
the
up.
zombie steps on his hand.
There's one, he pulls his hand out in his head, and a zombie steps on his hand. He goes like, "Ow!" and he puts his hand down, and then another zombie walking the other direction steps on his hand again. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh!" and then a third zombie comes and steps on the zombie's head.
Right.
We're already in the. There's one come out. He's like straightening his tie.
Right. Yeah, they have characters and personality.
They have like a librarian comes out. She's like fixing her glasses
Right.
and stuff like that. So you already know that this isn't quite serious.
Yeah, but it's fun. I'm way into it. Like the
Yeah,
zombie
absolutely.
performances are a ton of fun. The effects are good. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's more Halloweeny.
Yes. At this point, what's his name? Fred, not Freddy, but Frank. Frank's going, "No, God's punishing me for being a gravedigger." Doing all that stuff.
Yeah, if you that could go either way. If whiny Frank in the first movie was like, I can only take that in small doses, then, or if you're like, that was my favorite thing ever, then you're either in for a real treat or a real nightmare in this movie because he's for a lot of the running time. He's like, oh God, what have I done? What are we gonna do?
Yeah, it's super enjoyable.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Also, the sister, she reminds me of Andy from the Goonies when she talks. Like, if you're a fan of the Goonies like I am, and you watch this movie, you're gonna go, "Oh my God, that sounds just like Andy." It's not though, but like it very many times you're like, holy shit, that could be the same actress if I didn't know better.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they go on the run. The Frank and Freddie and the girlfriend steal the cable guy's van. They run somebody over, which was a zombie. They crash the van, so now the van doesn't work. They can't get away.
Now you can electrocute zombies, right?
Well, okay, we'll get to that.
Well, that's what happens when they crash into the guy.
No. It's like
because they knock him into a
later,
sun.
the ambulance.
All right.
That zombie comes up and kills the dad of the bully, and the mom's like, oh my God. And she goes in the house, and she's like, I don't know what's going on. And then the kid who was sick is now standing on the stairs, and she's like, oh, Billy, you're better. And she goes and gives him a hug, and he's like, brains.
By the way, I did make a note. I can't really remember now, but I did make a note that kid's transition into being a zombie was kind of disturbing.
Yeah,
like
he had a fever.
He was like having a convulsion, like a seizure.
When he died, when he finally passed away.
Yeah, I thought that was like the one thing where I was like, ooh.
Yeah, again, like we're kind of glossing over it, but it's there are scenes in this that are kind of like serious.
Yeah.
You like when the mom goes and hugs her son, and he's like, he bites her fucking head while she's hugging him, and he crunch.
So the kid kind of functions, the bully kid kind of functions as something we haven't seen yet, really, Return of the Living Dead, and that's like
he's like the antagonist.
Enemy. Yeah, like an antagonist.
So even though he's dead, he's
trash kind of in the first one, but nobody really has nobody hated her before she turned into a zombie.
Right.
If any,
Plus they don't ever see her.
And they don't ever see her again. You're right. But this one, it's like, what if there was somebody you hated? That you weren't really into,
and then they died, but then they came back with even more power, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a good job of the makeup on him. He has braces.
Yeah.
Like it's just total.
It looks like a total fuking just zombie brat.
It's funny. He says that's the only credit he has on IMDb.
Yeah.
This is the only movie he's been in.
Yeah.
He's 6'7" now. At the time he was like 5'8", so he was like a big lanky kid. So he's the perfect bully, Right. Yeah, they go on the run basically at this point. They're just like, fuck, zombies are everywhere, and
we get sort of a not the same actor that played the mortician in the first one, but
the doc,
a character actor that's
holy
essentially
shit.
Like
I love that character.
Yeah, he's great.
He's the best character in the movie. He takes over for Frank as now the new best character.
He's a doctor, right?
Yeah,
that's his thing. But I mean, he's essentially the stand-in for that character.
Yes.
But he now he's like an alcoholic.
Yeah, totally.
He's just like, why don't we just take a break and have a brandy? He likes to smoke a pipe, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So
that Doc Mindel, I think is his name. Oh, actually, I want to look it up. He's the only one with the car because again, a lot of these houses haven't been built yet. So
and his car's Cherry.
Cherry, absolutely. She's a beaut. But there's not that many people around because the houses are half finished, except for these few people that are living there.
Right.
They're like, oh, Doc, he has a car we can use when we get out of here. Why? Doc Mandel. Yeah, Mandel. Doc Mandel. They go to him, knock on the door, and he's just like, I hear a bunch of commotion outside. What's going on? Crazy drug people? And then he doesn't seem to care. He doesn't give a shit that they're zombies because then when he sees them, he sees a guy that he buried. Like he was like the doctor for the hey, I'm sorry I never gave you back that money I owed you. He's funny as shit.
Yeah,
so
I like him
funny.
a lot.
Nobody's driving my car but me. Get in the car, Grandpa. Okay. There's a good stunt.
It's really matter of fact when he's like studying. I guess Frank again.
And Freddie, yeah.
Freddie again. He's like, you're dead. No, just like,
is it cancer?
No, you were definitely.
Well, that'd be a good one. Or he's like that'd be a best case scenario. Yeah, they crash out the garage. They get in the garage and they drive through the garage door, and then they hit a couple of zombies that are like stuntmen that have to jump on the hood.
Yeah,
it's pretty good stunt work. Which leads to the main zombie of the movie. They said actually it was like the same actor who played a couple different zombies, but he was always the one that was like. If there was a front and center zombie, it was this guy.
Or like one-on-one where they're like in the same room
yes.
or lurking about and stuff.
He's hanging around on the top of the car, and he gets his hand in the window and grabs Frank, and then they roll up the window, and it gets his hand cut off.
Yeah.
And then we have a Addams Family thing.
Or I was going to say Evil Dead 2.
Or Evil Dead 2, very much a hand.
Because it flips them off. It's like...
Yes, you're right.
Pretty homage.
It's going around the car, grabbing people by the throat, grabbing them by the crotch,
yeah.
And they throw it out, and then, it's in the street, and it just makes a big middle finger, and it's... What is this movie at this point?
Fun effects, man. I've been sitting here. I have a note that says like good zombie effects, but I don't really know. Like I can't remember any of them now. I do recall one. Now.
And that was done with a black sleeve and then the hand.
Which you can kind of.
And when I saw it later on, I was like, I didn't know how they did it. It was part of it was robotic, part of it was hand. Yeah. Then I would see the sleeve and go, oh, it's the actor's hand. I didn't even know that. They did a good job.
Do you recall one where I think it's the girlfriend, or maybe the sister, and there's a zombie, and she's like, she kind of sticks her hand out, and ends up just like taking.
Well, there's two. She punches one in the face and eases that.
It just like
goo, and then like
out,
seaweed comes out. Yeah, the one you're talking about is like the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
She rips the jaw, off of it,
right,
and it does
yeah.
the tongue hanging out.
Yeah.
Just like the intro, just like that the zombie in Day of the Dead.
Zombie, which is one of the best on-screen zombies ever.
Walks in the frame and just.
I mean, it's only there for a second, but like it's
it's good.
It's one of the best things ever. Okay, they end up at the hospital, right? That's like next stop.
Yeah, because they're sick.
Yeah, we got to figure out what the hell's wrong with them. And the whole town. So this movie.
It's a great way to say when you have a low budget and you're shooting in an actual town, but you don't want to have people outside. What do? Oh, we evacuated everybody.
Right, but not everybody, right? So that's because they try to get out. It's like it's one of those kind of 28 days later or 28 weeks later situations.
They're very much contained or
like they fire on them. They go, okay, not that way. They got to go back.
The military
or the Crazies, another George Romero movie.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
You never saw the remake, huh?
No.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Same thing happens though. That they quarantine. They like.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one they get to kind of move around town. We see it's kind of like Silent Hill. We see the suburban neighborhood. We see the hospital. We see the
police station, which is locked up and empty.
Right. We see the power station, I guess.
Quickly at the hospital, like I said, the doc goes through the vitals. He's like, no reflexes. Rigor mortis is setting in. Like they're dead. Yeah. He goes, we should probably be quarantining them. Much like in the first movie,
right.
he zips up Frank's jacket and he says we should kind of.
Doesn't he put one of them in a body bag or something like that?
No.
Oh, okay, I made that up.
But this leads to the kid running off by himself in the hospital to like the basement, an elevator, and going to like the communications array to like try to call for help. And then he finds himself one-on-one with the zombie, shoots his gun, distracts the zombie but doesn't kill him. Tries to run away. The door's locked. The elevator's taking too long. He's fucked. And of course the elevator opens and her sister's there. They had gone to their grandparents' house and gotten some guns. She fucking double-barrel shotguns a zombie in like point-blank range. And
cuts it in half or something.
Cuts him in half. Fucking tail. So this is two legs standing up still with no upper body, but the spine is sticking up a couple inches and it's like moving around.
Yeah, that was good. I remember that.
And then they hired a military veteran who had lost his legs to be on that body, and they pulled him off the body in the explosion, which is like, that's fucking great, you know? Give the guy some work and, whatever. And then they have I don't know how they did the effect after that, though, because they had him, like, walking on his hands.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was the same. I don't know what they did there.
Huh?
Because they obviously didn't paint it out. I mean, this was before CGI and shit, so maybe it was the military actor who had no legs or something like that. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's probably like that's the money shot of the movie.
Yeah.
When it comes to like gore and effects.
Yeah.
So introduce our new mythology to this series, but it never comes back again.
No, it doesn't.
You take it.
What, the electricity stuff?
Yeah.
So I don't remember. At one point, they're driving the ambulance around, and then they're driving the ambulance around, and they hit one of them.
He gets mad because they were eating animals at a store, at like a pet store.
That's right. It's like Pee-wee's. It's like scene from Pee-wee Herman,
absolutely.
but like the worst version of that, where everybody's just like murdering.
There's no
all
fire.
the
It's a bunch of zombies trying to eat them. Yeah.
And they mow down one of the zombies, and they hit it, and it goes flying into a electrical sign,
like a marquee.
Yeah, and and that gets it.
Yeah.
So
then they get the bright idea
that electricity is how you,
which again never shows up again in any other movies and doesn't really make any sense.
No, but it allows for a cool action set piece at the end.
There's that one scene when they were in the car driving by and the bully is like in the window.
Yeah,
he watches them as they go by.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. They get the idea. Let's go get some beef brains from the meatpacking warehouse and
use that to like
lure them
around. Yeah,
and then we'll take them to the power plant and then we'll electrocute them all. But of course, the bully zombie climbs the fence, goes after the kid.
Yeah, he's gonna
gets inside the building.
And
he throws a fucking wrench into everything. Eventually, Jesse.
Yeah, but eventually,
he fights him and he takes a screwdriver and jams it in his fucking mouth, and then jams it and then hits it with, like, he gives it there's a word for it. I don't even know I can't remember what it is, but
jab.
Well, it's also used in a different genre of movie where they go like this. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
No,
I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, he puts a screwdriver in and he uses his other hand and just fucking bam, and then like it's good effect. It shows that screwdriver going in like deep into his mouth.
Like she just pulls back out again, right?
What?
Doesn't he just...
Later on.
Yeah.
So he falls over a bridge. They're like at a catwalk and he falls over, and then they see again, he shows him holding the screwdriver like, look what I got. Yeah. And then they have to, the doc's sitting there with like, should I be drinking bourbon right now? No, I'm going to put it away. Well, maybe I can have a drink. No, I got to wait. I got to throw the switch when they tell me to.
That's all he's been talking about all night long. He finally found some.
Basically, they electrocute them all.
Yeah, and they do Thriller.
Yeah, so during the electrocution scene, fucking
they're all
zombie
kinda
walks
dancing,
in
they're all like-
frame wearing a red leather jacket and starts being electrocuted in a dancing fashion.
Yeah.
And it's just totally an ode to Thriller, yeah. And then the army's just like, oh, hey, guys. Remember when we shot at you like 20 minutes ago? Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, I want to talk about...
The head.
Well, that too. Well,
Get that damn screwdriver out of my head.
Yeah, the ADR on that stuff was kind of weird. Yeah, no, I want to talk about the Freddie and his girlfriend because I kind of like that
I forgot
scene.
about that. Yeah.
Because they end up in a church again? Is it that one?
Yes,
one?
it's absolutely.
Okay.
Also, when they're in the ambulance and they call on the phone, they're like, we need help.
Yeah.
A zombie answers the phone like in the first movie and he goes, come to the hospital. And they're like,
Right.
okay. And he goes, they give the phone to the doc and he's like, who's the president? And then the zombie,
right, yeah.
the zombie like looks around and like very old manish, like, his gums just like, Harry Truman.
Yeah. That was good. I forgot about
So
that.
it's like the zombies can think they remember when they died, I guess, so they don't know they're dead. It's weird, but it's funny.
So this is a scene with Freddie and the girlfriend where I think that you can kind of tell where they were trying to skew it more towards a younger audience, the way that this was cut and edited.
Yeah.
Because to me the way it was probably written in the script is pretty obvious. Like, I want to do a weird sexual thing, and the girlfriend finally like acquiescing to it.
Oh yeah, the director even said, or no. The kid who played the bully said he's like, I didn't get it at the time,
Right.
But when I went back later on, he's like, I totally.
He's like, come on, you'll like it,
And she's like, okay, take me.
Okay, I want you, take me, yeah.
Take me, yeah.
But the way it's cut, I feel like there was supposed to be something more there. Like she was.
It's a very long, like extended. Like they should have cut earlier when he started biting her head because like it takes a while. He's like got his head on her or his mouth on her head and
God,
just
I can't
sits
remember, man. I just remember there was something about the way they edited it in the movie where I went, oh, they like held back. Like they're trying to cut on. They don't want you to too much to have it be a joke about like let's do anal or like some fucking shit.
Well, and right before this, Frank ends up passing on and then coming back and biting a military guy in the head.
Right.
And then she's like, stop it. Stop.
Yeah.
And he's like, I feel bad about what I did. Almost like, you can tell in his face, he's like, and then she drives off and he's like, oh, don't leave me. And he's like, wait, there's brains in the ground. I'm going to go eat those brains.
Yeah. All right. So they all get electrocuted.
So, yeah, well, like I said, they run into a church. Let me eat your brains. They smell
She's
good.
like, I don't know. I'm scared. What if it hurts? You know?
So, yeah, they definitely do a whole callback to the first one and that. But this one, she goes, yeah, go ahead and eat my brains.
Yeah.
She gives in because she's, I don't know. There's nowhere left for her to run. But there's also like she's like cornered.
It's a joke,
The end.
Yeah, the end. I guess, I don't know, the head makes one last appearance and then the flamethrower guy.
The military guy at the flamethrower. And she goes, all right, you win.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You win this one. The scene in the end when there's a big transformer that falls through the ceiling that the bully gets pushed into is a collapsible ceiling. Supposedly one of the crew members the day before accidentally fell and broke the entire ceiling, and they had to rebuild it all to do that scene. So it's kind of funny. It was meant to be a breakaway ceiling, and it broke away when the guy fell through.
All right, that's it. I don't have any more notes for two.
Yeah, that one's it's a good movie.
Two's fun. Yeah.
It's funny.
If you've watched, I would say if you've seen Return of the Living Dead a bunch of times, watch the second one.
Yeah. You'll like the second one.
You probably
like the
just
first
assume that like these are all horrible, and you'd be mostly right. But it's a fun movie.
Yes.
Are you ready to talk about the rest of them now?
So here's where the series diverts into much different territory, I guess you could say. This will be fun. I like 3.
It's all okay.
I saw 3 probably like
movie.
10 years ago when we were working security and shit. Just working late night shifts. I watched it maybe 8 or 9 years ago. It actually resonated with me. I don't know if it's because I have love in my life.
You like that goth girls. You like those goth girls.
She's not really.
When she ends up full on zombie mode, she's like hot topic, wet dream.
But I don't like that.
I know you don't. This is why.
But in the movie, yes, because I even wrote a note that says, "Is it wrong that I thought she was super hot when she was, But that's the point. She's like super sexual, and her titties are hanging out. So this movie's got a lot of titty in it, quite a bit of titty in it. It's definitely meant for the home video market at this point.
It's got a little bit. It's only hers.
Yeah, but it's in the beginning. It's later on.
There's one scene where they have their teenage sex, and then there's later when she's like a zombie and they're pierced and hanging out all over the place. And okay.
Yeah, they're out for a long time.
Yeah. She took her fucking like 8 hours to get in all that makeup and shit.
Yeah. There's a commentary on that. So there's 2 commentaries in that movie. I listened to the one with the director, and I didn't get around to being able to finish one. There's one with her and the special effects makeup guy.
So I have friends that are big horror fans, and they have a soft spot for this movie as well. The guy who made this is Brian Yuzna, who produced
Reanimator.
and
He directed Bride of
Reanimator, and some other horror things, odds and ends here and there. So
he's a big
on the
name
outskirts of the involved in the horror community. Not going to go down in probably horror history or anything like that, the way Dan O'Bannon or
I remember a time when we were
Stuart
into horror
Gordon
stuff,
Will or
and we watched all the Reanimator movies, and Brian Yuzna came up as a name that was like he definitely has been around, and he's not
two
like,
people in the industry though. I mean, not
Yes, no, he's
That's what I mean, I guess. Like you're only gonna know that guy's name if you get into horror,
right? But I also liked Beyond Reanimator, which he directed, or no, he produced it. Was he the director on that?
I haven't seen the Reanimator sequels.
He directed Beyond Reanimator, and I actually really liked that one.
Are there enough of those that we can do that?
We could. Yeah,
There's only 3.
There's
though.
like 3 or 4.
There's 3 or 4, then we can do it.
Anyways, yeah, Yuzna's got good
cred.
He's good. Yeah, he's got cred, exactly. Yeah. So this movie is much more serious.
It's not even much more serious. It's just like they decided to not have it be funny anymore.
Right.
The humor comes back a little. Well, it comes
this
back.
Is a Romeo and Juliet.
It comes back in full force in the 5th one. But
yes, this is a Romeo and Juliet movie. It's about 2 kids in love,
star-crossed lovers.
Yeah, I mean they yeah. Okay, so the quick gist of this movie is
Riverman.
It all comes down to Riverman. I feel it's because I've watched these movies more than once now, because I watched them years ago and you hadn't, and then I watched them again, and then I fast forwarded them while I was making notes because I forgot a bunch of stuff. 2 young kids. One, the boy's name is Kurt. Her name is I don't even know. I feel dumb. Oh, by the way, there's a Blu-ray of this movie coming out. Well,
from
November 22nd, 2016.
Arrow
I don't know.
Probably Arrow.
2016, November 22nd. There'll be a Blu-ray of this that has the uncut version of this film, which I hear that actually is a lot of cut stuff.
He said he had to cut. In Wikipedia, it said he cut like a lot out to get a.
So the MPA has an issue with people who hurt themselves for pleasure or pain.
Right.
There's a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah.
This has, you want to say, the most elaborate special effects, makeup effects, special effects in terms of costumes and shit, right?
I guess.
What's the word I'm thinking? I mean, is that right?
Cosmetic.
This has the most crazy zombie stuff.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely bananas.
It's I think she is stupid. When she comes out in like her full-on like concert gear, I thought that was so fucking dumb. But if you're talking about also like the
I'm talking about the like
spinal Mexican gang guy,
not even like in the military parts, like the ones that come out of the cans
at the end.
They're all in the beginning.
Oh, that was decent. Yeah.
The melted face one.
Clearly the budget was lower because they less zombies, but they tried to do
more
what they could with them, right? And they're also less interested now. Okay, so
they're not like talking zombies anymore either. Well, in her case,
you should look up right now. I want to know when this came out in
1993.
1993. Okay, so this is before Resident Evil. Oh, that's more my issue with the 4th one. So
what? What do you gotta say? What?
So the zombies in this movie are not. Think about the first 2 movies.
$2 million budget.
The first 2 movies are classic zombies.
Yes.
And it's classic Halloween zombies. They're EC zombies. They're Tales from the Crypt zombies.
This is like mutated.
These are like fucking fucked up zombies.
Yes.
They look more like mutants.
Clawed hands. And, yeah. Well, okay, but again, anyways, again, I like this movie. There's something.
Fine. I mean,
there's something about it that actually touched my heart in a way.
Okay, well.
Are you dead inside? I don't know.
To this one I am.
Yeah.
Because I don't care.
And I don't expect other people to react to it that way, but I think it does. It actually accomplishes what it tries to do, in a way. I felt for her. Not so much him. I felt for her. It's a sad movie.
It was too ridiculous. It's really dramatic, and just for like how goofy the whole fucking thing is. I didn't like any of them. I didn't care. The gang is
they're silly. They're
so
stupid.
Dumb. I mean, again, I don't mind dumb and silly. Like if it's dumb and silly, but it's like it's supposed to be serious. Like, look at this dangerous gang. They're playing the arcade and the fucking thing. It's like it's fucking Donald Trump's like like scare tactics of like, you walk down the street, you get shot. Like the inner cities, like it's like, no, they're not. Like,
Right.
it's not what it is. But this movie, like that's what that looked like. I don't know. It's super 90s, I guess.
That's right. It's very super 90s. Okay, well,
do you want to actually talk about the actual?
Yeah. So the gist of it is, they're teenage lovers, even though they're like in their 20s, but they're obviously like, you assume like high school or 18.
Yeah.
They just got out of high school. His dad is like a military guy who's working on the reanimating of dead people.
That's the first time that actor's appeared, right? Because he's in the next 2 movies after that.
No, that's a different guy.
It's a different actor?
You're talking about Peter Coyote.
You're right, Peter Coyote. So he's in the 4th. Peter Coyote. So
Yeah.
he's in the 4th, just in the 4th and 5th one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask you again when we get to 4.
Yeah, no. The dad is
all right.
Sometime. So he steals his dad's ID card that he left in like the house, the home office. Her and him sneak into the medical stuff because they're not goth anymore, but they're kind of like rebel kids. Like
He's got a motorcycle.
yeah, they
don't wear helmets.
She wears a leather jacket.
Yeah. He's got short hair.
Yeah, they hang out by the beach on a cliff,
She wears
smoke
cut
weed,
off jeans.
fishnet stockings, boots.
No,
Yeah. Anyways,
trouble.
they're trouble, man, big time. But he's like so clean cut. Like he's like the older brother from Boy Meets World.
Yeah, it's like he ties a flannel shirt around his waist.
He's like one step above Ryder Strong.
Was he
or
wearing
something.
a puka shell necklace?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. But he did have an earring, right?
I don't think so, but he looks like the kind that would. Okay. Absolutely. So they go to this Air Force base that they're doing stuff, and he's like, "I'm here to see my dad," and the guy's just like, "Yeah, fucking whatever, go in."
Yeah,
and then they.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so he would eat.
Top secret military facility.
And I brought my girlfriend on the back of my motorcycle.
That's okay, right? We just need to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
There's one in the lobby, right? There's a lobby here, right? At this top secret military facility.
But then they use the key card to like go in a different way, and they like go. So the room with like all the crates in it in the hallways, that's a miniature.
Oh, really?
I had no idea. I thought that was a pretty good miniature. They look through. Of course, I don't know why it's built. You have to see the movie to understand like the way we're talking. It's built. It's weird. They're like looking in through a window, and they see a reanimated dead guy.
You remember in Jurassic Park at the very beginning, the container that they had the Velociraptor in, like just before the title sequence.
Yeah.
And then it like kills one of the guys, whatever. And you can kind of see through it, like a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what the facility.
But they climb on top, and they're looking through like a piece of plexiglass that you can kind of see down.
But like on the sides, I guess.
So they see like, oh, it's really bad. Then we got to get out of here, and then they end up running away at one point. But that scene that is a phenomenally gross. So that first one, the guy that they tie up, they have a mouthpiece in him so that he can't bite, and they pour the gas on him or whatever they do to reanimate him as a test.
We should say so at this point they're back to like trying to weaponize trioxin in some fashion.
Absolutely.
And there's 2 different. So just like in RoboCop, they had the Ed 209 guy, and then they had the guy that said, no, we want to take a cyborg project. You had the 2 dueling things. Here you have, well, what we want to do is, I don't really even kind of get it. We activate, we make trioxin zombie, and then we use this special gun.
This freeze gun.
So you just basically let them go nuts, and then when they're done going nuts,
they would kill all the enemies, and then they would freeze them and then bag them.
And then the other one is like, I have this exoskeleton program, and you're just like, what is that? What is that? You don't see it until later, but
wait, you get to see it?
Yeah, at the end of the movie.
Oh, you're right, Riverman.
Yeah, Riverman.
I didn't even put those 2 together because it's so janky. I was thinking something totally different. Yeah, you're right. So this first scene though, it is quite a scene with the skinny yellow guy. So that guy was a homeless guy outside of LAX that would hand out headshots of himself. Because I guess he was an extra in a Bruce Willis movie once. They had to AIDS test him. They had to keep him busy and in a place to stay because they're afraid he was going to wander off. They basically wanted someone that was like skinny and kind of dead looking, and this homeless guy fit the bill basically.
Yeah.
They said he was like on a bunch of pharmaceuticals, so he would lay on the table for long periods of time, and then when it was time to get up, he like couldn't get up. So that's the fucking weird
they just
story.
Strung him up.
Weird. Let's just say that it's very weird the way that they got that guy.
Low budget filmmaking. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Actually, low budget. Yeah, $2 million, 24-day shoot. So it was shot the movie in 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. Speaking of that freezing bullet, I didn't think it was a freezing bullet, but that's what the director said. It was a freezing bullet. Why did it come with such a comically large gun?
Yeah,
all they did was
charge, and it has to be connected like a fucking.
All they did was put it up to like an air compressor tank, and then it's basically a blow dart.
Yeah,
but it comically ball. It's like fucking Halo gun, like a sniper rifle out of like a Halo or something, you know. But yeah, that scene they test it, they tie him down, and then one of the I'll call them scientists or doctors, as the guy has like been frozen. What do you want to say? He's been shot with the needle bullet, and he's asleep again or whatever. I don't fucking know. He puts his fucking hands down the guy's mouth. He's like inspecting his mouth, and then the thing wakes up and bites his hand off.
Yeah.
So there goes one doctor. They neutralize him. Then the doctor turns into a zombie. He eats another guy, and then neutralizes him.
Okay, so this is now officially introduced the idea that if you're a zombie and you bite another person, they turn into a zombie.
Yeah.
Which we're going to see again later.
Yeah.
Actually, all over the movie.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, it's a gruesome. Like he holds the dock up against the glass where all the military guys are on, and just banging his head against the glass over and over and over, and it's just blood everywhere. It's disgusting. And the room's it's all white too, so all the blood is really stands out.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck would you put your hand in a zombie's mouth, even if he's not doing anything? But it's interesting though. When he first came back, the zombie picked up a scalpel and he started stabbing the doctor with it. Like, I don't know what to make of that.
Zombies use weapons.
Like, why? When you want to eat him?
In Night of the Living Dead, the very first zombie on camera uses a rock to break the window.
Right.
To get at Barbara.
To eat her though.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to stab you. I don't know. It's a weird like. So this might introduce stuff into mythology that like none of it is like nope.
Right.
It's not canon. You don't get to add to the universe.
So how does she get? What happens?
So they ride their motorcycle out of there, and
right now I remember.
And she's just like, I'm so hot right now. All this dead people
dick while he's
he's like, stop it! I'm trying to drive the motorcycle. She's like, oh, what are you scared?
Yeah,
let me touch your pee-pee, and
that's what she says too. I thought that was kind of weird. She said, let me touch your pee-pee. That's kind of weird.
Hey, I got kids. That word comes up in this house a lot, And they crash.
She ends up on a telephone pole.
She flies through the air and smashes into a telephone pole and like breaks her neck and dies. It is a pretty cheap effect. You can tell like they just like, okay, stand next to this pole, touch it, and then pretend your neck got broken, It reminds me of a video that I made like in the 5th grade with my friends where we had to like do a project where it was alcohol abuse. I might have told the story before. And so our friend like played the dad, and he was old enough to drive, and we were like 11, 12 or something like that.
Touch anybody's pee-pee.
No. And he chases my friend down in their old orange Duster, which if you don't know what a Duster is, it's an old car. And like he runs down the street, and then the car goes in the frame and goes by. And then when we quote unquote hit him with the car because the dad's alcoholic abusive, what we did is we put the camera inside the car, pointed it out kind of towards the sky a little bit, and then had my friend run backwards, like running like he's going forward but going backwards, and then jump on the hood as if like he got hit by the car. That is about the level of quality of this one in this movie when she hits the pole.
That's pretty clever, though. I mean, what you did, not what this movie did.
No, I've always said, whenever there was a project in school, even from when I was a kid, if they said, could we film something, we'd always make a movie. Yeah. Like, that's why I should have gone into that business, but no. And then, if I could find that video, you would it's fucking funny. Because he's like, God damn it, son. I'm so angry, I'm drunk. And then they run through the park, and he chases him and then start beating the shit out of him in the park. Like, I miss being a kid sometimes.
So he takes her back to the facility to dose her up with trioxin so he can bring her back to life.
Yeah, which ends up backfiring big time. Yeah. Do you want me to keep going with the stuff, or you want to take? My throat hurts.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you remember more about it than I do.
I do.
I just kind of.
It's depressing that you don't like. I forget stuff, and you.
Yeah, but I saw that one a while ago. I mean, I took a bunch of notes, but it's more just like kind of funny shit or.
Basically, she's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Sorry, honey, you died," and she's like, "My neck hurts." Like that's the first part where I started feeling bad. She's like, I feel like why it hurts, and she's like her neck. She's moving her neck around. I'm like, oh my god, she broke her fucking neck, and she feels it like that. Yeah, that's scary. She starts feeling hungry. She starts feeling like she doesn't feel good, and then he's like, let's go get you some donuts at the liquor store. That'll make you feel better, right?
And she's just shoving them in her face, not even really putting them in her mouth. Just kind of like dribbling
because they're gross. She doesn't like it because she wants flesh. She doesn't know it yet.
So meanwhile, the shoplifter from the first RoboCop, who has a machine gun that RoboCop bends the barrel of, and then clotheslines him into a vending machine or something like that.
Yes.
is the leader of a gang.
S.A. That guy?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're
Orderly
it's
Holmes.
an Hispanic gang, except for the one Asian girl who's hanging out with them also.
And one of the guys that doesn't look Hispanic to me at all. I feel like he was Asian too.
Vaguely Hispanic gang.
Yes.
I don't remember what happens. He accidentally pushes him or something like that.
He's like, "What's wrong with your girl, Holmes? Do you not feed her?" And he's like, "Stay out of our business." And she's like, "What'd you say to me?" And then
They made the dangerous gang.
They're the goofiest
made
looking
them mad.
fucking gang wearing like
Who are like trying to get a high score on an arcade machine.
And then like he's got like a flamboyantly just like lame T-shirt. Yeah, they're the most non-threatening. Like they look like a bunch of drug. Like the girl,
He's wearing like a vest and like a fucking like
fedora with
fedora.
a purple feather in it. Yeah, she looks like a junkie. They're just doofuses. Yeah.
Anyway,
But they got a gun, and they rob the liquor store. They shoot the clerk. The clerk,
she bites one of them,
on the way out.
and so then they're like, "Fuck that bitch, Holmes."
We're gonna get her.
Okay. So now they're on the run because the cops are coming, and they steal.
Well,
they
they take the Korean like store owner or the Asian store owner with them, and he's like, "Don't let me out," because they're gonna take him to the hospital. They're trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Because he's
But
shot.
now he's like, let me out, because they're being pursued. Okay,
It's ridiculous.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Do the police just shoot at them?
Yes. He opens up the back of the van and goes, "Don't shoot, help me." And the cop just, while driving like 40 miles an hour down a busy street, the cop's weaving in and out of lanes.
No gunshots reported.
One
no
shot
sign of firearms.
But not even that. Throughout this, driving a bouncing van, cop cars going left and right all over the street, just one shot, boom, headshot.
Like in the fucking movies. Just hanging out the side of the police car, cops and robbers, like just except the robbers don't have any guns. They're just shooting at him.
Fucking headshots the store owner, dead.
That's scary as shit.
And then she goes back and eats him in the van.
Right.
And then they
He's like, "What's wrong with you?
What are you doing?
Don't do that. I don't like you when you do that. This is not. I don't find you attractive."
Yeah, it's just funny because like they don't seem to like know that. Didn't you just watch a guy get reanimated and eat a bunch of people? You didn't think that would happen to her, Whatever. They're dumb. They're teenagers, I guess.
So they escape into the sewer.
And it's funny because when the cops come out, the Asian guy gets reanimated.
Yeah.
And he says he's proud he's the first Asian zombie in a film. The actor said that. He was like happy about it. Yeah, Dana Lee, I think.
Huh.
He's actually, I think he's known for other stuff. Store owner, Dana Lee. He is also in movies such as Rambo: First Blood Part 2 as Captain Kin. He was in Pineapple Express. So he's in other movies. He's a known actor. He kills one of the cops, and then the cops shoot him. The cops are obviously not actors. They're just like, one was a special effects makeup guy. The other guy was like his brother. Like, it's one of those things where now you start to see where people in the movie are not actors. They're like, oh, here's our director of photography came in and was like holding the checkboard or the checklist for the military thing. Or like, it's a lot of, you can tell they're just like, oh, you're on set. I got a role for you. Come on over, Is
this the movie where there's two homeless guys who are eating a rat, and then the rat gets reanimated?
that's the next movie.
All right.
Oh shit! I almost spilled my water.
I was just saying they already stereotyped the shit out of fucking
homeless people
Latinos.
with Riverman.
They might as well go all the way and just say like, oh yeah, isn't that what homeless people do? They eat rats,
muskrats. So yeah, they go through the sewer. They're trying to get away. She's like, yeah, you're right. He does the thing. He goes like, I don't like you. You're gross.
Yeah, stop.
She's covered in blood, and she's like, I can't help it. I don't know what's wrong. Then she starts to realize that the pain. She starts like stabbing herself with a spring she finds. Like the pain makes the hunger go away. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what are you doing?
Don't do that. I don't like you like that.
And so
stop being different than the thing I like.
She goes and tries to kill herself by jumping off the 7th Street
like
Bridge
into
in
the
LA.
LA River where there's like no water, or it's just like
a little bit.
Yeah.
But she jumps off, and then he goes down, and they find her body. But of course, and Riverman shows up, some homeless guy who's got this. I seen it on a night as dark as this. A river swallowed up 3 men. Like, what the fuck is this guy? He's crazy homeless guy, right? But then he has a coin, and it's all fucking weird, and he helps them, and the coin pass it on to somebody else. It's fucking stupid. But it's your favorite character.
I don't know if he's my. I know he's not my favorite character. He's just an example of just why I don't like the movie.
Yeah.
Because like I'm supposed to take him seriously. Like he's the wise old black homeless riverman.
Yeah.
That's why I had to.
That
make
reminds me of
note.
that scene from It's Always Sunny when the like.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, you know what I'm talking about? The bed?
Yeah.
You and the black man. Why'd you got to call him black man? He's an old man. Anyways.
Right, yeah. Right. It's not rape if it's on a boat. It's the implication.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes.
Okay. So Riverman.
So they find her body. She wakes up. He gives them a place to stay.
Yeah.
In the sewers.
And they bone in there.
And then the Latino. So the director said, and it's part of the movie, that love and pain make her zombiness, like the hunger, go away. So when he shows her lots of love and they bone, or when she stabs herself, that keeps her from turning into more zombie-ish.
I guess this is on a less comical level, like on a real level.
That's stupid.
Like,
I agree. That's dumb.
The problem I have with the movie is that if the movie was good, it would be about how he wants his pretty girlfriend, and that's not who she is, right?
Right.
The actual thing would be like, what if you had a girlfriend who she would, she seems like she's the life of the party, she's the perfect girl, all that kind of stuff, but has deep-seated fucking emotional issues that she is starting to deal with by cutting herself.
Yeah.
And when you discovered that, or maybe she was doing that the whole time, and you discovered that, and you went, oh, I don't like that. That doesn't fit with the perfect girlfriend that I have. And so I'm like, this guy's an asshole. That's like where I'm going with it. Like if she's the sympathetic monster, then he's the fucking, like, I honestly, when she's like, okay, we'll do it, because it's kind of like, she's like, oh, fine, let's fuck. Like, and I'm like, is she gonna kill him? Like, is this the part where she fucking kills him? Or like, is this the part, where he's like becomes a really, really an asshole and she runs away from him?
Right.
But instead it was like, no, it's like, I don't even get it. Like that, I guess I don't know. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The movie's not smart enough to like do anything with that.
Absolutely. But that's why I said I started feeling for her at this point, like, because she had no say in it. He brought her back.
It wasn't a love story. That's the problem.
Well,
the movie is like, yes, it is. It's a love story.
It is.
Right. It's a love story about cutting. It's a love story about cutting.
I mean, what you're saying is absolutely true, but that's not the end of the movie yet, though. There are other things that happen.
Yeah.
But like she did have no choice. She tries to kill herself and can't. She's now terminally trapped. Can't die.
Right.
She's stuck in this because of him. That sucks. Like I feel bad for her at this point because she didn't ask for that.
But I feel more bad for her for having this pressure of like fucking.
And then
you want me to be.
And then he's abandoning her in a way. Like she's fucked double everywhere. Like yeah. That's what I mean. Like I can not relate to the character, but I could feel the empathy there.
Yeah.
The Latino gang shows up. They're like, we're gonna get you. Okay, so this was like
hold on before I'm not skipping. I'm not skipping this part. I'm not skipping.
It's gonna go to that big scene. But anyways, what?
No, I'm not skipping the part where the main character is like, I don't know, I'm gonna go to college and maybe major in art. Or,
wait, what?
He wants to be a musician. Like,
is this when he's talking to Riverman?
Yeah, and Riverman's like, oh, I don't know, young man. I think that you should follow your dreams. This whole thing. So I literally made a note because I was kind of not hating the movie at this point, but I thought this way. I said, number three. Oh, I'm gonna find. Hang on. Okay. Oh, you really think I could do it? In quotes, I said, I wish I had words of encouragement from a Riverman when I was a younger person. That's all.
Like the Riverman is a thing. It's like every town has a Riverman.
It's like if this movie's made today, that whole scene is played exactly the way it is, but it's played for laughs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it's like, no, take this seriously. He's imparting words of wisdom to the young white boy.
That's the hard thing about this movie is that like whenever it tries to be serious, like a lot of the stuff you're like, come on, you just had a zombie that was like melted and half his head is missing. Yeah, I get you.
Anyway, that's it. Sorry. So the gang shows up.
And then they're like, oh, we're gonna get you. And then they like hold her down. It's like, where's your girlfriend? Call her name, because at this point the guy's getting really sick. The one that she bit, he's like, you can tell he's gonna turn. And then they have a short scene where they're showing her like jamming nails into her skin and into her fingers, and like she's mutilating herself because of the cravings. This is where the MPA cuts. Like he had to cut a lot of this stuff out because the MPA says like, well, she's doing this stuff for like kind of a pleasure-ish kind of way. They weren't cool with that. Mm-hmm. So the uncut version must have more of this stuff.
It's like in England, you can't have ninjas.
What?
You can't have any for the longest time, like the British film code or whatever, you couldn't have any ninja stuff.
Really?
Yeah. No ninja things.
It's fucking weird.
It is fucking weird.
It reminds me of like you can't point a gun at the screen in a cartoon.
Yeah.
And then Batman the Animated Series totally fucking did it.
Well, back in the day too, the film code or whatever, you go back and you watch old westerns and stuff like that. You can't shoot people in the same frame. Like you can shoot and then cut to somebody getting shot.
Yeah, but you
can't have two people in the same frame and a gun come out and shoot.
It's always so funny the weird rules that come up. But yeah. So she opens the door and then she's like titties hanging out, her clothes are all tatted up, but she's covered.
She looks so fucking stupid. I'm sorry.
It's the cover. It's the cover of like the DVD and stuff.
She accessorized herself with a rock.
Oh, she tied a rock
ties to her hand, and I'm like, "Is this an action figure? What the fuck is this?"
Like she could hit someone in the head with a rock in her hand.
She's like, "I know what I'll do. I'll get a rock and I'll hit them. That's how I'll get to the brains. But I'm gonna tie it to my hand so I don't lose it."
Yeah, but I'll say though the effect, like she has glass shards going through her cheeks, nails in her forearm, like
But she also has glass just like coming out of her like spikes, and I'm like, how
from the other side she pushed it through. They show it coming out of her hand. She's pushing it through like the back of her hand and coming out. It's impressive on a special makeup.
It's a lot
level.
of shit, and she went through hours.
Because it's not just her face; it's her arms, her chest, her pierced nipples.
To me, it just looks like a
ridiculous.
Power Rangers villain. Like
it is,
but like a Power Rangers villain, obviously a rated R. So when the RoboCop gangbanger. When she comes out, she looks all that.
Oh my god!
Like, hey, I don't know, man. She's kind of my type. You get freaky, girl. I like.
He goes up there and he touches her necklace. He's like, kinky. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's fucking gross. There's like no universe where anybody's just like, oh yeah, I can. I mean, any port to storm and all that, I guess. But
again, she's super hot at this point, but not in a reality hot. Like. If you saw that, you'd be like, "I'm gonna run away now. Yeah. She's gonna cut me, and I'm gonna get HIV."
Right.
Yeah.
But he goes into the other room with her, and she cuts his head off almost.
Or she like eats his neck away to like it's just like spine and head,
which makes the way for a fun zombie effect where he is essentially a
giraffe.
Yeah, he's a giraffe where it's just his vertebra is long and.
He sticks his head through a hole in the wall and they knock it off. Yeah. At this point, all the gang members become zombies pretty soon because they get bitten and they get hit in the face with like steam and their skin's melting off. It's you know, when they go run away, the Riverman's like, I know a way out. Go this way to the ladder. We got to board up this door, which goes back to the horror siege. The director said, okay, if the movie has Living Dead in the title, he's like, you're supposed to have a point where the zombies try to break in and you got to board it up. It totally added like credence or a little bit of indication for like when we made that video about the horror siege that like, yeah, he totally got it.
Yeah.
Like this is supposed to be in here, you know? Got to board up them windows. Yeah, that's a crazy weird scene of just like arms and weird effects from zombie people. And then she eats the Riverman. He's like, well, Julie, what are you doing?
I'm a fucking zombie.
Yeah. She's like, I'm sorry. Whoops. And then the dad...
He's like, hey, I can't believe you did that to Riverman. He's my best friend. I was going to take him home with me. He was going to live with
like
me and Pop.
Man. Yeah, Dad shows up. He's given up. He's going to let
come to my college graduation.
He's going to give up and let the zombie eat him. The freezing bullet saves the day. And then they take her into custody, basically.
And Riverman.
And Riverman, yeah. And
all
Riverman.
of them, the whole gang, they take them all.
At one point, the colonel gets relieved of his command because he's fucked this up. The chick comes in.
Exoskeleton lady
and then he goes,
in.
I don't give a shit until this is all over. And he goes, soldiers with me. And they go, yeah, I'm going to fucking follow the guy that just got relieved of his command. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, the loyalty there was like, I'm going to follow the boss. I don't fucking care what this lady said. Yeah, I don't.
Do you want to describe the exoskeleton?
No, I'll get to that. But the next scene is them back at the military base, where they're doing all the experiments, like drilling into Riverman's head with a drill, and he's alive. He's going, ah! They're caged up. His girlfriend's caged up in a cell, all like crazy. And they just let this fucking teenager walk around.
Yeah.
Where they're like cutting people in pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And then there's the scientist you've never met before.
Yeah.
Who's just kind of explaining to him, what are you doing? Why are you trying to break out your girlfriend? I had no idea you would do that. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd never let you in here.
Which leads back to the thing of like, dude, did you not fucking learn your lesson? Like, see, then at this point, again, I feel bad for her. Now she cannot die. You're looking at Riverman. They're literally taking a power drill and drilling into his head, and he feels the pain. Like, he doesn't like it. He's in pain because what is she doing? She's putting an exosuit on him. Like a power suit.
Yeah, but what? It's not a. I mean, what is it?
That's why I didn't even put two and two together because it just looks like a. Like
I can't. That's what I'm saying.
Bunch of pneumatic
help me
arms.
describe it. It's like a bunch of. It's like just a steel I don't even know how to describe. I don't know how to describe it. It's not an exoskeleton.
It's basically like if you had almost like
It looks like a torture device. It looks like something you would strap somebody down into so they couldn't move.
It feels like a roll cage for a human.
Yeah.
Instead of a car.
Yeah.
It's just a couple bars around like the main points to kind of hold it. You know?
Yeah, it keeps its head in place or whatever. And I still don't get it. I don't quite get the freeze gun thing. Like the plan behind that.
Right.
They just go nuts, but then you have to go in with firearms to.
But
here's one army,
but
and
you
then
can't
we come
kill
in.
them. But this is like the medicine that puts them to sleep. I don't know.
And so this is just equally as stupid. It's got a giant switch on the back of it that's like really heavy and hard to move, and
It like locks it in place.
So they're just a zombie, and then you do that, and then they can't move. So that would mean you'd let these run rampant amongst your enemies, and then you have to go in and
pull the lever
on all of their backs.
I thought they were like trying to like control them, but I don't think that works either.
I was thinking it wouldn't even be hard to do with a small budget. I thought I just assumed there was gonna be like a remote control, or something that would come out, or turn them off, turn them on, whatever. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The only reason it exists is so they can have the effect later where he gets blown.
They blow his arm off, but the hand is still in there.
They're still like attached in certain areas. So he has like an arm with a hand on the end of the exoskeleton, but there's no arm in between his shoulder and his hand. That's the reason they did that.
Basically, he breaks the girlfriend out again. And again, like I said, this girl that you loved, which you did this to her, she can't be killed. And now she's basically going to get tortured and be locked up for a long time. And you see her. Do you let her? I mean, do you not try to get her out of that? And what do you do?
The answer is that for the first two movies so far, there's zombies.
Yeah,
I don't care.
But they still have it. At this point, she still has a conscience. She still talks and shit. Like it is a like you said. They missed the mark on actually having you care about the characters.
You put them in an incinerator. That's what you do.
Okay, well that's he breaks her out, and that's what I said was I get that he wants to save her. But hasn't he learned all the shit they've done? How many people have been killed because of them?
Yeah.
Because of what they do? He breaks her out, and then the scientists keep getting murdered by the other guy now. He just keeps creating havoc. But yeah, he gets her out. A bunch of other ones break out. The Riverman, he shows him the coin. Remember me, Riverman?
Yeah.
You know me. You know me. It's Kurt. I'm your buddy. Get me out of here. Riverman goes, oh, coin, door open,
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets bitten by one of the other ones or something like that. And so he takes her down to the incinerator. And his dad's like, Kurt, I can save you. Don't. And he's like, no, Dad, you can't save me. He shows him the bite.
No, Dad, I saw the first movie. I know what I have to do.
And then, yes, her and him, which it's a callback to the first movie with Frank and the incinerator. They go to a big room with fire and they burn themselves to ash, which I thought was kind of a touching, beautiful moment. They went down together. He saved her so that he could save her, get rid of her, and he went with her.
And I went.
And I don't blame you, but
that's fine. Hey, this movie
touched me in the heart.
The movie's at least watchable. Like it at least has like a functioning storyline, story arc, things
if you like horror, gore stuff, this movie has got it in spades.
And even though I didn't respond to it, I recognize at least like sincerity in what it was trying to do.
Yeah. Like I said, it might be silly, but I am empathetic to that actual
sincerity
scenario.
goes a long way.
Yeah.
People try to do things. Okay.
So
I don't want to talk much more about this stuff. Luckily, the ones that are left
are not much. Yeah.
So
the third one. Okay. So the third one, I would say if you watched the first one, you liked it. And you did watch the second one, and you're like, I'm getting into it. The third one's a huge change of pace. But if you want to see a horror movie, go for it. I think it's worth watching. Now, the next two movies. Both 2005, because they were shot at the exact same time.
I want to know when the first Resident Evil came out.
2001.
Okay.
That's me just guessing. I don't really know.
Okay. I also want to know when American Pie came out.
Why American Pie? 2002 for Resident Evil.
Okay.
What's your deal with American Pie?
It's the fifth one.
Just because of party or what?
The return in full force of the
American Pie was 99.
Okay. All right. Just like with horror, Scream brought back high school teenage slasher movies back in vogue. American Pie brought back fucking screwball sex comedies high school sex comedies. And that was the vibe I got from the fifth one. But the fourth one, the vibe I got was like, make this like Resident Evil. Wait,
sorry, say that again. The fourth one made you
fourth
think of
one
American
I
Pie?
got the Resident Evil vibe. Necropolis.
Oh yes. Okay, I thought you said it the other way around.
Make this like Resident Evil.
Absolutely,
that's what this was.
Yep.
And then the fifth one for me, I said was make this like these teenage screwball sex comedies.
Okay, I'm totally with you on that one.
So
okay, these movies were shot exact same time or back to back in. I'm pretty sure it's Romania.
Yeah.
This is one of those like Bruce Campbell going to Europe to shoot his like low budget horror movie time period, you know? The funny thing is though, like the main actors, the core group of like the main actors are all or maybe not American, but they're definitely like Americanized or English actors. And then everybody else is like, oh, that guy's name is Antonovich, or
they go to a hospital where they talk to the receptionist, and she's got a Romanian accent. Then they talk to a doctor or nurse, and she's got a Romanian accent. You talk to the doctor, he's got a Romanian accent. I'm like, this is
well, isn't in the other one someone goes like, where are you from? He's like, Bulgaria.
This hospital's in Romania town. Little Romania.
This one guy's like, I said I'm from Bulgaria or something like that. Like I feel like that shows up in that movie.
Yeah.
But one of their friends in the circle is like a Romanian actor too. Like he's not an American at all. The guy who directed Eight-Legged Freaks.
Really?
I
like that movie.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Is it bad?
I've never seen it actually, but
You've
I hear
never watched
it's
it?
horrible.
I enjoyed. I'm gonna watch that movie like soon. And I'm gonna be
the one with David Arquette.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be super disappointed if it's bad because I like that movie a lot.
When you saw it,
yeah, in high school.
Okay, well there you had your question.
Now I'm scared to death it's bad. I don't want it to be bad.
I heard that movie was stupid as shit,
dude. Now I understand the motocross stuff because like
you're right.
Because in Eight-Legged Freaks, there's the main teenage boy.
I know that,
in motocross, and there's a scene where he runs away from jumping spiders, like with motocross. This is why he's like up in the air, and there's the thing where he takes his feet off the motorcycle and kicks the spider in the face,
Superman.
and it gets back on. Yeah, that's the Superman thing. I hope that movie's not bad. I like it.
Okay,
but interesting, very interesting. Very interesting. When did Eight-Legged Freaks come out?
Is this like the Kevin Smith story about Wild Wild West when the guy wanted to make the fucking spider? And,
when did Eight-Legged Freaks come out?
Before this. Like well before this.
Wow. That movie came out and nobody gave a shit and then he did this. Wow. All right. Huh. Because Eight-Legged Freaks is not like this. It's not like this shitty low-budget movie. Like, they have like CGI spiders
He
and
also
stuff.
directed both of these movies. 4 and 5 are both directed by the same guy.
I am like
Eight-Legged Freaks came out like 3 years before.
There are other pressing things right now that we won't talk about during this podcast, but the most pressing thing of all right now is me finding out if that movie's as bad as like these other movies, and I just didn't know it.
At least I thought it was. I didn't think it was good.
What if it's awful? That would be so sad.
I mean, you saw it when you were like 18.
It has a fucking no, it doesn't. Actually, it has a girl that at least looks a lot like Black Widow, fucking Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
I mean, IMDb says it's a 5.4 out of 10.
Yeah, but fuck IMDb.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I'm just trying to like.
It's probably terrible, but it was a giant.
When it says movies like this, it says like Lake Placid and Snakes on a Plane.
I like Lake Placid. Lake Placid's fucking great.
Yeah, I think actually it is, isn't it?
Snakes on a Plane is. Okay.
It also says like Tremors, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm watching this movie soon.
Okay, fine.
I'm watching this movie soon.
So, okay, it's directed by that guy. It says a perfect B-movie homage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe people didn't get it or something.
But I remember that movie being, like, proficient and, like, being, like, a real movie. Not, like, fucking Return of the Living Dead Necropolis.
Okay, so anyways.
It still had, like, basic storytelling and stuff under wraps. Okay.
This movie has a company, like you said, Resident Evil. I'm totally with you on this. So it has a company that's basically Umbrella.
Yeah, okay.
They own like the paramedics in the hospital.
They do a mock commercial, like, oh, and we make your this and your that and your other thing. Okay.
And we help you with zombie outbreaks.
The name of this thing, that's just basically Umbrella Corporation. The whole movie I'm thinking it's Hydra.
You're thinking Hail Hydra?
Just no, whatever. I didn't even question it. I'm just like, Hydra. Hydra sounds ominous, like that's fine. Hydra. Then I realized when the movie's almost over, when I saw it written on a sign.
It's called Hybra Tech?
It's Hybra Tech.
Like hybrid, yeah.
Why? Oh, because it sounds like hybrid. Then sounds like Hydra, I guess. Hybra. It's a made-up word they made up. Okay, that's it.
It's a company name. Why wouldn't you make up a word for it?
Hybra. It's called a Hydra. My first note is this Godsmack? Question mark?
Oh, the music and stuff?
just to give you an idea
Is
of
it
like
the
time
intro
period that we're
have
dealing with here.
Does like the title intro have the music too?
I don't know.
The first time I think it kicks in is the motocross shit.
I'm doing the best I ever can. No go away.
Okay, so the only thing that matters in this movie is that it's starring Jana Kramer as the like very, very beautiful, pretty girl. And when I say no, she's effing hot.
And then there's also a blonde girl that looks just like, I forget her name, but the one from American Pie.
Like a Tara Reid style.
No, not Tara Reid. The one that I stuck a float at my pussy girl. The one from like
absolutely
the
looks
Vampire
just
Slayer
like
stuff.
her. Yeah.
Like in fact, I'm pretty sure whatever C-level career she had was based solely on the fact that she looks like that.
Oh, I would. You were absolutely right, 100%. That's exactly who. Like when you see her, that's what you think. Like you think that's who that is.
And then another one that just looks like literally like a 30-year-old stripper.
Allison Hannigan.
Allison Hannigan. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it looks and sounds just like her. It's so stupid.
All right. What are the
so
notes
anyways,
here?
Jana Kramer's really good looking, and we talked about like when we did like the whole Hellraiser stuff, and what's his face went on to become Superman.
Yeah.
You know, like you get your start somewhere sometimes.
And also the man who directed Hellraiser Inferno just directed a highly financially successful Doctor Strange movie that just came out.
Right. So again, you get, it's funny. The director of the third one talks very much about like, I didn't think I'd be directing horror movies, but when someone gives you a chance to direct a movie you wrote, like even if it's not something you want to do or whatever, like you take it, because in this town you got to get work to then maybe get somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. He actually mentions those things. Okay, these are the movies that have Peter Coyote.
Okay.
I don't know why,
and I don't know who he is or like where he comes.
What other movies he's in?
Like
or whatever.
because he's also now a military guy with a relation who's going to be the main character of the movie.
Yeah, Peter Coyote is a guy from E.T.
Oh, he's the guy. He's the government guy. Holy shit. Okay.
He's a character actor in this movie as well. He's very weird. He's in Sphere, I remember watching Sphere because so I mean he's been around the industry for quite a few decades.
E.T.'s the high one. I remember.
Obviously.
I remember that scene. Okay.
So like I guess he's like the grab they got. Like we got a real actor in our movie.
Yeah.
But again, Jana Kramer, like she's nobody, but she went on to like actually be like in One Tree Hill and the Click movie with Adam Sandler and Prom Night. Like she's in a bunch of stuff. Like you could tell this was her chance to be in the industry, and it worked for her. She actually made it somewhere. Yeah. Friday Night Lights, like she was in a lot of stuff, and she's just. I'm just gonna keep saying she's really good looking.
And then
I like brunettes.
So all the girls are white, but then there's a black guy and an Hispanic guy. I think.
You mean a Romanian guy?
Right, but he's trying to be
like an American.
Okay.
Are you trying to be Hispanic?
I thought so.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right.
Oh, they have another friend who's like Spanish.
Okay.
Like
Spanish.
when I say Spanish, I mean like Spain. Like I think of Luis from Resident Evil 4.
Right.
You know the guy, hey Luis, like that guy. He's very much like long hair and.
So they all look like they're 30. And they, but they go to high school. They're the most.
No, they don't.
Okay, they all look like they're in their 20s.
They yes.
They're not 16.
No, they're not. But they're like you said, they're like American Pie high school.
They're American Pie high school, but they're also like the most like at least American Pie. You're like, oh, of course, all these white kids hang out together. You look at this and you're just like, no,
multicultural,
like this,
multiracial, like yeah.
They got the fucking like the nerdy girl who wears
none of them have the same.
Thing.
None of them have the same interests. Like I'm gonna go do a gymnastics meet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go make alcohol.
But they all like motocross.
That's true.
They all like, but that's
where they all get together. Yep.
Yes. Jesus.
And they all like
he's got like a little brother too that like tags along.
Oddly enough, he's a little Romanian kid too.
Of course he is.
Like also not making fun of anyone in Romania, because we actually have I think a Romanian. We have a couple Romanian people who like check our YouTube channel. So
yeah,
I'm not saying it's anything bad. I'm just saying it's
fuck it. No, good movies get made there, man.
Yeah.
Not this one though. So. Basically, okay, I refuse to like go. The plot of this movie is that they have a friend that gets hurt and he's in the hospital. And
wait, but you skipped over.
I'm not.
He got hurt.
I don't
because they had to motocross.
He motocrossed too hard
and do.
He motocrossed too hard.
They had to do wheelies on the road.
Yes,
which is the same road they drive down in the fifth one. If you notice it, to the way to the rave.
Yeah,
I saw it when I today. They had to motocross with the loud heavy metal music. They had to be cool. They had
the
to
loud heavy metal Godsmack music.
Yep. While the girl
they were listening to the K-Rock.
The girl who looks like Allison Hannigan doesn't do any stunts. She just rides perfectly sitting upright the whole time. Yeah, they go, he does a jump and he lands on his neck, and they're like, oh my God, hospital. The main actor in this movie, the main character who has a brother, oh my God, he's the worst fucking actor I've ever seen. Well, maybe
he looks like Hayden Christensen, like when I like hate on Hayden Christensen. He's just got like a permanent frown, like he's always about to cry. Oh my God,
no, my notes say he looks like he's going to cry all the time.
Yeah, so is Hayden Christensen, but like this guy's even worse.
Oh, it's... Hayden Christensen's in that movie with John Leguizamo, like 8th Street, or like the one with the lights going out. He does an okay job.
Yeah.
I hate this actor. I don't know who the fuck he is. It's bad. He's bad. He's bad.
It's pretty bad.
His name is he code? Is it John Keefe? Hey, John Keefe, you suck. Sorry. Just to let you know. He was in The Aviator as visual effects.
I made a note that it would be better if they were younger, but I don't really think that would matter. But like at the very least, if this was actually a movie about like Goonies age, then I think that'd be okay.
But like they're gonna break into like a super duper like high-end billion-dollar corporation in their medical research wing. They're just like, we're some badasses with motorcycles and rappelling gear and a taser. We can just break into this. Oh, our friend's a hacker. He can put a CD in and go to a command prompt and change the directory to the A drive and click launch.exe.
And then the little brother just makes like a squirt acid flamethrower gun
and just
like
shows up randomly while they went to go infiltrate. He gets there before them somehow.
So one of the things that this movie adds is
a Wayne's World bike in the car gag.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that you shoot zombies in the head and that brings them down now, just out of the blue.
And they never seem to realize it. Because they keep shooting him in the chest, but then randomly they'll shoot him in the head and they die. They don't seem to think about that. No, in the very beginning, he walks outside and the girl's like, hey! And she crashes her bike onto the hood of a car.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. And then like that scene.
And then he drives her. I'm like, why would you just like ride your bike to his house every day and then he would just drive you to school?
Right.
Like,
and you thought that would be goofy, but also like, again,
stupid.
Just kind of like bad filmmaking. That's the kind of scene at the beginning of another movie where you go, oh, you're framing her up to be
goofball.
Well, no, but also being like he likes the hot girl, but she's the one that like, you know, like why did she get that focus? Like why did she get like a character? Nobody else did. Everybody else just like you got to school and like here they all are.
There's no character development other than like here's what everyone's role is.
Yes.
They're the hacker, you're the tough guy, you're the, you know.
All right. So they get inside and this is the Hive, but they call it Necropolis.
Yeah,
right?
They actually call it Necropolis. It's not the name of the movie. It's the name of the research facility that does the research on dead people things.
Right. And the main character's parents are missing. Well, he thinks they're dead.
There's a random like in the beginning of the movie when the guy goes and gets like the trioxin cans from Chernobyl. Because literally they drive to Chernobyl and the guy's like, I'll let you buy these. He's like, you're the U.S. government. He's like, I'm not the U.S. government.
Yeah. So, I'm Hybra.
I'm Hybratech, yeah. And then as he leaves after the guys turn into zombies and he kills them, at nighttime, a car crash occurs and 2 people die. Those are his parents. You just had no idea. But also, I don't think it makes it look like as he was leaving Chernobyl, it caused this accident.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And no, it wasn't. Yeah. I don't think it was at all.
Okay, more notes.
And his parents are turned into like bioweapons.
Yeah, that's later, but they look like Borg. Fucking.
Yeah. But it's very much Resident Evil because they're BOWs. They're bioorganic weapons.
That's right.
Just
2 of them. Everything they did.
One had
2.
They're more like the Hellraiser 3.
We can afford 2.
They remind me of Hellraiser 3.
Way more. I think I texted you that.
No.
Okay.
Like one has a saw in his hand.
It's because I wrote it here. Cyborg zombies look like Hellraiser 3 Cenobites mixed with the Borg.
That's funny that we both see that. Yeah. This is the one that has the homeless guys you like.
My next note is the girl actually fucks the security guard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
What do you mean?
One of the girls is like the slutty one in the group.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, my job will be to distract the security guard.
Yeah.
Any other movie, it would be like, oh, come with me. And then you knock him out in the next room or something. They come back like just...
Put their clothes on.
It's just like, oh, no, I fucked him. What?
But then she's like, oh, no, he knows he's cool.
Yeah.
But it's not like he was like some attractive guy she wanted to bang. He's just like chubby older dude.
Yeah, I felt like there need, again, in a different movie that was actually funny, it would be like, you know, you didn't have to actually fuck him, right? Yeah. We just needed him to not be by the security cameras. Anyway.
Also, I wrote about that, like, who works a security job that's like really, really high in place and goes like, there's a hot girl's like, oh, hey, big boy, I've never seen you before. You want to go fuck? And you're like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, of course I do. This job sucks. Yeah. Plus, I just took a bunch of drugs. Okay, next note. It's game time in quotation marks and then hand-to-hand combat, question mark?
That's near the end, though.
Well, that's about the...
Didn't you want to talk about the homeless guys you were in love with so much?
Oh, was that in this one?
Yeah, that's... So, okay.
That actually, I like that part.
I like those actors. They played really good homeless, crazy, like Russian homeless guys.
I was like, oh, maybe it'll be funny.
The doctor gets the trioxin. He has them like, isolation chambers with dead people inside that he reanimates, but then it sucks the gas back out. Now, I don't know where these fucking pipes were going that you weren't going to wouldn't you put the gas back in the container and seal it back up again? And for one, save it for more experiments, but two, where are you dumping this gas out? Because this homeless guys, I guess, that live next to this really, really important $1 billion research facility, they just sleep on the side of the building with all the pipes. There's a leak in the pipe, and then they get gassed and turn into zombies, homeless guys.
With the biggest rat you've ever seen.
Muskrat. A Romanian rat.
Oh.
They make them bigger over there.
Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't make any logical sense of, like, where and why wouldn't you have captured the gas? Where are these pipes going? I don't fucking know. Again, who cares, right?
Also, why, if you're going to have zombies in a cell, would you have a opening that's just big enough for them to stick their arms through so you can tell people to just stay near the middle?
The middle, yeah. It's like a prison. It's like an old prison they were using for something else.
No, it's a high-tech, it's a high-tech facility.
Which is funny because like the lobby is all super clean and nice and white, like a total Resident Evil, yeah. But then the parts they walk through is like this dirty old prison-looking cement block, like gulag area.
This is shot in 15 different places.
More heavy metal montage when they're getting ready to break in. Also, the guy injured his neck. They instead of taking him to the hospital where they tell him his friend died, the hospital says, "Sorry, your friend passed away," which is a lie. They took him to this facility to why would they experiment on this one teenager? They could have anybody. The kid wasn't dead. He just like injured. He got a concussion. So he gets a concussion in the ambulance instead of taking him to the hospital and then whatever. They go, let's go experiment on this kid. Fucking why? This must have all happened in the same day because like he has a concussion. He's in the ambulance. They wheel him in and then they break in to rescue him and he basically just woke up. How fucking long did they plan this escape thing they did? But like he'd only been there like an hour. Like they basically had a montage. They had a montage with heavy metal.
Yeah.
Which would give them long enough to get the repelling gear, to fix their motorbikes.
You listen to Godsmack, you get pumped, dude.
Man, they did a recon. They printed out maps of the floor, like the blueprints.
They're very organized.
All in like the span of like 2 hours.
What if they should have? What if this happened to them all before and they've been recasted and they were in another alternate reality?
They didn't realize it.
Yeah, just like Frank and Freddy.
Well, what we failed to realize too is that by the way, the girl works as a security guard at the company. And so she like,
how convenient.
I'll turn the locks off and put the code in to make sure the alarm stays off. Yeah, whatever.
But they still needed a scene with another security guard that a girl needed to go fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
That hits on her in really gross, weird ways. Then of course the zombies get out.
They rappel down the side of a building.
Okay, the zombies get out. They run away. The doctor takes off.
Now there's zombies everywhere.
And when you say everywhere, I mean randomly. They just come out of like, okay, you think this is where they house all the zombies. All of a sudden, they just come up in random staircases. Like, what? When they come out, all of a sudden, there's this random security guard with a shotgun in the middle of the room that was not there before. Yeah. It's so lazy.
Nobody works at this place.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous.
Giant high-tech facility. 3 employees on a graveyard shift.
And then also, like, the girl that fucks the guy, like, they're running. 2 zombies just, like, jump out of a windowsill onto them. Like, they were just, like, hiding and waiting.
Somebody will eventually run by here.
Zombies are outside chasing all that graveyard shift. All of a sudden, everybody's outside wandering around at nighttime.
Yeah.
There's, like, 15, like, scientist people with, like, lab coats just outside, walking around outside in the plaza. And then, they go to the building and they rappel down with all the rope they brought that they weren't carrying with them.
They just happen to know how to do that.
from a roof of like a 20-story building with the gear that they magically brought.
My girlfriend was actually like walking by at that point. I was watching it and just like, they just know how to rappel the side of the building. She's like, what are you watching?
Hey, they do motocross. Yeah. They can do anything. They're hardcore.
They didn't do any motocross. Like, it never came up again.
It came up. Like, no. They rode their bikes to the facility all cool. When they rode their bikes there.
In the last Tremors movie.
He uses it to, absolutely, you're right. There's a payoff. I was actually watching that the other week. I was watching him call them gummy bears.
All right, my next note is it's about boxing match. So
I'd call it a fist fight, like a brawl.
I said main guy and zombie friend have a boxing match. ... Yep.
Their friend turns into a zombie and then he comes back and he's like, "Why you hitting on my girl, bro?" As the zombie, and then he goes, "I've always wanted to fight you," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the zombie proceeds to fist fight his old friend.
Yep.
It's fucking dumb.
It's Pretty good.
And then they throw a grenade at the bioweapons, and it blows them to pieces. And the other one chops her saw blade into an electrical thing, and it kills her. And then
SWAT people
show
save the day.
Just blow everybody away. Oh, but Jana Kramer dies. She gets shot with a bullet, and then she dies.
Yeah.
And I was super bummed out. I was like, fuck this movie.
Then you were like, fuck this movie. Yeah.
She's pretty.
She didn't actually die, Actually, none of these people died because they all returned for a sequel.
Not all of them.
Well, some of them did.
Because the remaining guy died. You know what? I'll give them. They have balls. They killed a kid in this movie. They let a zombie eat a kid's brains. I'm all for it.
Yeah. All right, we're almost done.
At the very end of that movie.
No, we're not almost done.
There's a TV anchor.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was.
And for some reason, the zombie and the scrubs decides to come bite him in the head. Like, oh, what? The zombies got out and they're on the TV station.
This is that thing where you go.
What are you doing?
You don't have enough money. You have an idea. You go, I know what I kind of want to do. I want to do like a satirical thing where they're, it's like the TV anchor talking to you, like in RoboCop. I said RoboCop a lot. It's RoboCop on the brain. But then what you would normally do is you would see like, it doesn't really work. Or like when you're editing, you'd be like, it doesn't really play. It's just kind of there. But you have to leave it in because you don't have a choice because you only had that amount of money.
Because the Dawn of the Dead remake, they did that. And
yeah, but Dawn of the Dead, it works.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like that's the idea. Like in that one, they were reporting in like Saudi Arabia or whatever, and
right.
they break into the hotel room, and the journalists are like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
The White House when they're giving a press brief, and all of a sudden the SWAT guys or the Secret Service start shooting people, and this was just like, oh, they did that, we should do that, but it had no context.
Right. Oh, but we have no money and no talent.
It's funny you to say no talent, which that's true, but
it's part of it because you.
It's sad.
I was like, I'm yelling at the TV while I'm watching. I'm like, you could still put the camera somewhere interesting.
Yeah.
You could do something here. Like, yes, I know you don't have any money, but like I've seen lots of low budget indie movies that are interesting and they're good because they had a good script or they had good acting or they knew it had something interesting to do with the camera or something. You guys just put the fucking camera in the most like basic, obvious places, and I don't know, whatever. I'm beating up on this movie.
Yeah, I'm not like saying you're being mean, but like it's one of those things. Like,
I know.
It's like being mean to like a special.
But it's just a bummer when like the movie's not bad enough to come back around and I just like resent it for just wasting my time.
Yeah, it's a bad movie. It's not good.
Right, let's talk about the last bad movie.
Okay, so this one is a direct sequel, I guess, or not, because none of the characters seem to know what happened in the previous movie. But all the people that died in the first movie don't come back for this one.
That's I was gonna call you on that, but you're right. I guess it's just
they have the same. I think they have the same names. This is like, okay, so years later, now they're in college. Like they're playing the same exact characters, but it's as if the first movie never happened.
Yeah.
But his uncle, it literally picks up right at the end of the first movie. The uncle takes the trioxin cans that he stole at the end of the first movie. He like gets away on it with a truck with the 3 of the containers, and he tries to sell them to somebody, and you get these 2 henchmen guys that are actually pretty awesome in the end.
Romanian Pulp Fiction.
So it's the same guy. It's the same uncle. His parents are still dead, but this movie just never happened in this.
So this movie tries to get the humor back. So I'll give it some points for that, I guess.
It gets no points for any reason.
It doesn't get any points, really any points, because none of it's funny. So by the way, this is my first time I've watched a movie like you do.
Oh, you speed it up?
Oh yeah, I watched this movie in like less than an hour.
Subtitles?
Yeah.
Okay, because the fourth one doesn't have subtitles.
Gotcha.
So you can't speed it up.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So the plot of this one is one of their friends is like a chemistry major.
Oh, wait, no. Those 2 Bulgarian Pulp Fiction guys, they're out to track down the trioxin canisters for their boss. So you have these 2 guys that are going around trying to track down. Stop it. They're trying to track them down. So they play a very important role in the movie. And of course, the kids take one of the canisters to the black friend. He's now like a scientist in their university. He's just a student, but he wears a lab coat and he makes a bunch of alcohol, and they act like he can just like do anything.
Well,
they take it to the science lab, and he's going to analyze the chemicals inside of it, and they make drugs out of it.
There you go.
That's very important how you got to that point. Also, there's a cheerleader bit in the beginning for no reason.
Well, it comes.
But it's a song about we'll bite you. What are you, high on crack? It's so bad.
It pays off later in the my note here.
When they bite the cheerleader on the butt.
Cheerleading ass bite incident. That's what I wrote.
I mean, I'll say some of those girls were pretty hot, but they didn't give them
definitely enough. They upped the booby quotient. So they like this.
Oh yeah, that random.
The last one
shot.
had like a way lack of boobies. Like there were some boobies in the third one. In the third one, and then there were like no boobs in the fourth one.
And this one has
the
a
fifth
random
one's
like
got a lot of boobs.
Would you say no?
The last one?
It has one shot where they're at a party and the girl's just like, I'm gonna take my top off, and that's
There's
it.
that and
maybe like one of the girls at the party has
some
boobs out.
I guess you're right. I guess
That's
it's just
it.
at that part.
But it was like Girls Gone Wild.
There was still enough boobs in that part.
There was a guy in the camera and she's just like, shirt off, and I'm like, no, please put it back on.
Okay, my next note is sideburns.
Oh, the drug dealer?
I guess the main character. I don't know.
The drug dealer with the trench coat where he opens it up and he's got like every drug you could have. He just walks around with a trench coat full of drugs.
I got a note here. Pretty sure they don't just give you a note letting you know a relative dies. Like they don't just give you a note that says like the note says like.
I don't remember this
because it's like his uncle died or whoever the fuck and he's just out on the football field and somebody runs it out to him. He gets sad. It's like they don't do that. They say like. Go to the office for somebody to tell you. Somebody just says like, by the way, your mother committed suicide. Here you are.
Yeah. It again. The main actor is the kid that frowns. He's back, and I can't fucking stand it.
Is a scene where he goes into his house where he like discovers where the trioxin canisters were. He finds like the secret compartment in his fucking house or whatever, and his girlfriend or whoever, like blonde girl,
shows up. Yeah,
just shows up. She have like a key to the house. She just like fucking walks.
Which they don't even live there because he has a dorm on campus.
Then I wrote American Pie with zombies. Yep. And then I wrote boobies. Yep. I wrote House of the Dead ? Another.
Oh, you know what? This movie reminds me of House of the Dead movie.
Sure.
Oh my god, so bad. Do you remember the DJ kid? The kid, the DJ. Don't hire that guy to act ever again.
No.
Honestly, I wrote, it kind of reminds me as a stupid teenager. I didn't dress like that, but he kind of looks like me in a way that like I would never hire me as an actor. I'm not saying I'm an ugly dude, but I don't have that look. That guy looks too much like a regular person I would meet somewhere. He's annoying.
I said, does the main character have a t-shirt that says ethnic?
I don't know. I wouldn't have noticed.
Okay.
This one, someone gets scratched by a zombie. The American Pie girl, who's not the American Pie girl, she gets scratched before she goes on a date. And then halfway through the date, she turns into a zombie.
Oh, is this...
This is when they come around the corner and they go, brain. She goes... Like, is that they're making fun of her because she's a nerd or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that scene.
I'm
gonna get to that scene.
Where she gives him a blowjob as a zombie?
Well, I said zombie girl looking to eat brains but bites off his penis, and then I wrote that's what happens when you think with your dick.
Because your brain. You're an idiot. It's pretty funny though, sort of, not really. But why did she decide to blow him for a good like 10 seconds before she?
Because of movies.
He's like, oh, that feels good. Ooh, like okay, whatever.
Drug dealers that look like narcs. They're just going around selling drugs, and they all just look like fucking. I don't know. That's just funny.
I mean, okay, we not gloss over, but yes, they take the chemicals out of the thing. They make a pill. They call it Z. I'm gonna drop some Z, and they sell it. But what happens is they just like wig out for a while. But if you take too much of it, you turn into a zombie.
Yeah.
So people are taking this rave drug and then turning into zombies.
Meanwhile, a big group of them go to set up the giant rave of all time in a coliseum.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
The two bad guys that are looking to track him down, they actually kind of become good guys and try to save him. They blow up a car with zombies in it with the rocket launcher,
Okay, my last note is cheerleading ass bite incident, so that must have been the last thing that I remembered.
Which is dumb because they're like, they go brains, and then they look at
but then you're like, oh, their ass. I like it. I'm gonna bite it.
I don't know, yeah. Tarman returns.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, he does. I mean, they tried to.
And then they shoot him a couple times and he disappears. And you find him later off standing next to the highway with the cardboard sign that says rave or bust. Yeah. And the R in rave is backwards because he's a stupid zombie. He doesn't know any better. Yeah. And then he's all sad when the car doesn't pull over and he's like, oh. And he throws the cardboard sign on the ground and walks to the rave by himself.
The rave is the climax of the movie.
Which is just a bunch of darkness and flashing lights.
There's
people getting
helicopter that shoots a machine gun at people.
And then shoots a missile at him.
It sounds...
The black guy like saves his girlfriend and sacrifices himself.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
Yeah, so I don't know who those movies are for. They ended up on Sci-Fi Channel, I guess, right?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure they ended up on Sci-Fi Channel.
The last one's really bad.
Yeah,
because it attempts to be funny and it's not.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, at least they bring back the humor,
but it's
better than Cracker Jacked.
It's better than Cracker Jacked.
Nothing's as bad as Cracker Jacked, which is funny because you watch videos on the internet and they went to like the premiere and everyone's like, oh shit, homie made a good movie. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Did you, what?
Yeah.
That's like a low budget, like softcore porn practically.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, it's late. I'm tired.
Final verdict. This is not an easy. Whatever. We
You
do.
wanna rate the
I like
movies?
doing the rating thing, but I mean, this one's obvious.
It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is about it.
If you want to watch bad movies, you can watch the 4th and 5th one
You can, but I don't think that there's even like anything.
to get out of it.
Again, there's fun bad movies to watch
Yeah.
that you can enjoy. Like, oh, it's so bad, and you get a kick out of it. Like,
Kind of like the Chambers TV show.
Well, admittedly, like kind of the Fast and Furious movies in some ways. You know, like
Well, but
I fucking love those movies. But,
they're bad in a different way. They're bad because they take themselves serious, but
right.
they actually
But
are
you can
cool.
enjoy them ironically.
Yes, but they're also really cool because they have like cool action scenes and stuff.
Yes. But
If you actually think Vin Diesel's a cool guy, like no.
But these are just bad. They're actually just bad. But whatever. I'm gonna go watch Eight-Legged Freaks because I remember that movie being good, and if it was made by the same dude, I'm kind of like, oh man, I hope that movie's not as bad as It's got to be better than a 5.4 out of 10. Okay. If you've never seen Return of the Living Dead, get out there and watch it. Holy shit, that's you're missing that in your life. But if you're already a huge Return of the Living Dead fan, I urge you to check out the second one if you've never given it a shot. And Kyle.
If you are tempted to I want to see what else the series has to offer, you could watch the third one.
Yeah, I mean, it's he what was it like? He did Bride of Reanimator, and he didn't feel like there was enough of his
DNA in that
female monster thing, so he wanted to really explore that. And Return of the Living Dead Part 3.
It's randomly it's hugely different than the rest, but it has its own quirks that make it kind of interesting.
I really can't think of a reason to watch 4 or 5.
Nope.
I don't.
Unless you want to watch something that's just really stupid.
It's more fun to listen to people talk about it, where you go then they were going to make exoskeletons and use it for the military, but then they turned them into full-on cyborgs. But then what happened was then they took the trioxin and they turned it into a hallucinogen and sold it on a college campus and then a rave. It sounds like more fun than it is.
Yeah.
So
getting from point A to point B there is you don't want to do the journey. You just want to see what the destination was. And it's dumb.
So what are we doing next? Are we still doing Resident
Evil?
Okay.
And the last movie comes out in January. Well,
looking
whenever you listen to this, if it's past January, then we've already done it. But if you just do it now, we're going to be doing Resident Evil after this.
As always, if you want to make recommendations, all that kind of stuff, we've had people recommend things before that we didn't think about. So it's always worth throwing out there if you have a good idea.
Yeah.
And
hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'm going to be streaming between 7. It's fucking whatever. I don't care. You listen to our stuff, cool. If not, whatever. That's a weird noise. Okay. It's a motorcycle at like 12
podcast had an oddly apocalyptic tone to it. I don't know why.
We're just trying to make ourselves feel better. All right. That's going to do it for us until the next one, which will be a couple months from now.
All right, guys.
Anything you want to add? Any special send-off or anything about Return of the Living Dead? Any last bit of wisdom?
No. If you like zombie movies, you should... I mean, I don't know. I said it. Everybody should watch Return of the Living Dead. If you're already a fan of Return of the Living Dead, check out the sequel.
Our video on Horror Siege.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it this time. I've been joking with Kyle, but it's not a joke. I'm going to do it. I want to make a playlist that just says our favorite videos, and I'm going to only put the Horror Siege video in there. It's a long video, but I think it's
because we're showing a lot of clips of movies that we're discussing. We're not critiquing something. We're showing you examples of what we're talking about. So.
It doesn't center around a specific comic or movie or anything like that.
But if you've listened this far into this podcast, you probably have already watched it.
You probably already watched it, but I know there's not that many people because it's like 200 views or some shit. Go watch it. It's really good.
All right.
Good night.
Wait, that's the wrong button. I didn't stop recording. I got to push the space bar again. All right. No, for reals this time.